Boom. All right, what is going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with a Saturday edition of the Xbox 2 podcast. And with me, as always, the one and only Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. I apologize in advance if I cough, because I have a cough at the moment. So I apologize if I cough and my voice sounds a bit scratchy. Don't know why. Got a sore throat or something, but alas, we are here on a Saturday.
We are.
Which is cool.
We broke the streak. We were going pretty good there. Couple weeks in a row of Friday podcasts. And
Yep.
You were just incredibly busy from all the work you had to do yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was a busy week. And then I was thinking I could podcast on Friday and be super, super tired and lethargic, or do a more energetic show on a Saturday. So that's what I opted for, and hopefully it'll be worth it.
Hopefully it would be, yeah. Because I was ready to go, but then you were like, yo, I just can't. We had too much work, too many meetings. And it was just like, all right, let's do it Saturday. So here we are. Damn, we can never keep the streak going. But either way, we do have a lot of stuff here to talk about. A lot of different topics. Jez is really ready. Like, the entire pre-show, Jez was talking to me about this Xbox buying Discord and what it would mean. Like, Jez knows what Xbox buying Discord would mean. He's like chomping at the bit to basically explain it to everybody. Because I was like, Jez, what is it actually going to happen? What does it mean? And he's just like, mate, listen to me. This is what's going on. And I was like, okay. Right. And Gunstar says, man, you hardly, you don't sound very full of spunk, Jez. You got to bring it up an extra level, you know?
I don't know. I got I don't know. I think I might be I got a cold or something. I don't know.
You're always
got a cold for a few days.
You always end up being sick. So, yeah. So I just want to give a shout out to a few people. We got Sleepy Goblin 2D. We got Gunstar 75. We got Devogodi. Sorry if I said your name wrong, buddy. Dak, Martin H, Daniel Hayes, Dark Sia. Some of these names I'll just completely butcher. We appreciate everybody who's being in chat. Hazador, who always does the timestamps after the podcast is live for anybody that wants to skip around. Which, why would you want to skip around parts of the podcast, right? But people listen differently, so he always does the time links in the description, actually in the comments. So make sure you show your appreciation for Hazador, who takes the time out of the day to do that. And we got a news member already. Davagodi. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Appreciate the joining the channel, buddy. Enjoy the emotes. And Zero Myth says, Xbox should buy the Chinese indie developers of Wukong game. I believe their name is Game Science. Their game looks really good. Have you know which one I'm talking about, right, Jez? The one that Zero Myth is
Wukong.
To? It's really, really good. And Question Mark says, hey, what about me? Hello, Question Mark. How you doing? We appreciate everybody here on this Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. We do have a lot there to talk about. So if you guys are enjoying the show already, make sure you hit the like button, share this out on social media, the little share button, and hit that subscribe button if you're new to the show or listening for the first time. So the game that I'm currently playing, on screen, is It Takes Two, and I've already seen a bunch of questions about it. That is how the game looks. It's very much like A Way Out. So when you actually play, and I'll talk about this in depth because I've played the game for 10 hours already. No matter if you're playing online or if you're playing locally, it's always split screen. So you see your character on the right side of the screen, and you can see the other character and what they're doing on the left side of the screen. So it's always split. So if anybody who's played, A Way Out, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm playing that game with my buddy Sam, who is many, many states away from me, and that's how the game looks when I play it. So you can kind of see what the other because there's a lot of puzzles you need to solve, and sometimes it's just easier to look at what the other character is doing for what you need to do. So yeah, shout out to Punkadish. He says, Rand and Jez, have a great show, boys. Thank you, Punk, for the super chat, and your support. It always means the world to me. So Before we get into all the topics, which, we got Microsoft buying Discord, Xbox Live, now Xbox Network, Party Chat no longer locked behind gold, the Xbox show that happened yesterday, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We're going to talk about the games we've been playing for a little bit. So, Jez, I think you said you were playing something that you can talk about?
Yeah, so I actually have had time to play a game this week, although playing it for work, so I don't know if it counts. But I've been playing Evil Genius 2 non-stop for the last 3 days. I am pretty addicted to this game. Have you heard of this game?
I have never heard of it.
Evil Genius?
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so Evil Genius came out 17 years ago. It's by Rebellion, who makes Sniper Elite, and it's kind of like 2 Point Hospital to compare it to a recent game. However, imagine you're Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. So you go to a volcano, you build up an evil lair, build all the rooms, the facilities, prison, power station, torture chamber, fill the corridors with wacky traps and stuff like that when secret agents try to infiltrate your base, and all this kind of stuff. And then it's like a world domination simulator. So then you're trying to conquer the overworld map and manage resources. Resources, that thing you love to do in games. But I like my simulation games, and yeah. So I can't talk about it. I can't give a final verdict on it yet because I am reviewing it, but there was a preview embargo. But if you like 2 Point Hospital and those kind of games, management simulation games, like Surviving Mars and stuff like that, this is really fun, really cool, really a lot of comedy, a lot of British humor. I've had a blast with it so far, but yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing lately. I don't know if it's coming to Xbox. I think it might just be a PC game for the moment. I'm going to check that actually because I don't want to give some fake news out.
Fake news.
Okay, so it does seem to be launching on PC to start with, but the game does have full controller support, so it's probably going to come to Xbox later as well. But that's what I've been playing this week. Getting my management simulation on. Did you play 2 Point Hospital at all?
No, those type of games. Those type of games aren't my thing. I don't really care for those. Those sim management experiences.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I did play 2 Point quite a lot as well. It's quite fun, but yeah, Evil Genius 2 has been a blast, and I'll be reviewing that in full next week. But other than that, I've just been learning game dev. All the time that I would usually dedicate to games, I've been dedicating to learning programming and Unity at the moment. So it's I have to choose, do I want to play a game or learn how to make games with my free time right now. I booked a week off work to just grind some Unity and C# lectures and stuff. But who knows, Rand? Maybe in the future I'll be here promoting my game exclusive to Xbox
and day one on Game Pass.
Day one in Game Pass, yeah, maybe.
That'd
be
That's very
the dream,
interesting. Right? That would be the dream. Yeah, but what, me in a game on Game Pass? From you? That would be
yeah.
Can you imagine if it was good enough to actually be on Xbox and get 1,000 gamer score? We'd have to make the achievements really easy though, Jazz, if you want to sell some copies. You know what I mean? You gotta think of some cool stuff. T. Tucker says, "Hey, I just converted my bud to the Series S from PlayStation. Interesting. I know there's Series S's are starting to come a little bit more in stock. A little bit more all access deals going on. It's a pretty good system for $300. Definitely, a good companion system if somebody's gaming on the PS5 and doesn't have a beefy PC and just wants to play some of the Xbox games. Series S is a pretty good device." And Lucas says, "Wanted to say that this is my favorite podcast. Continue the amazing work, the both of you." Well, thank you for the support and those kind words.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have no idea how amazing it is You know, sometimes you have a bad day, and then I'll log on to Xbox and I'll have messages from people saying that like they love the videos and they love the podcast and stuff, and then your day's not so bad anymore. You know, it does mean a lot. So just I've actually been playing a bunch of games. You want to hear what I've been playing?
Yes.
Okay.
I was just saying that everyone in chat wants a tomato simulator.
So this is going to dovetail into a tomato thing, which me and my buddy last night were laughing our asses off, right? So
what is that?
I've been getting more and more into Rocket League. My buddies Magic and Maka and James Shields of the Xbox hardware team. I think that's. I mean, what is James Shields' official title? I don't know. I know he's listening to this or will listen to this later. He's the senior product planner at Xbox. We've been playing together. We've been playing together for years. I'm super close to James, right? And we've been playing a lot of Rocket League, and I haven't played Rocket League in probably like 4 years, so I find it a lot of fun. But one of the things is on my OLED, on my CX, it's at 120 frames, right? And Rocket League, so I'm playing Rocket League at 120 frames, and it looks great. Obviously performs even better. And then when certain days come around, Lord Cognito of ILP and Gaming Forte, they'll play Destiny 2 with me. So I'll be playing Rocket League, having a great time. I'm not very good at Rocket League. Like Magic and Maka are much better. Like they can do those insane aerials, you know, where the ball's all the way up in the air and they can boost their car through the air to hit the ball. Like I can't do that stuff. I'm not good at it. Like I'm more grounded. So I'll be playing Rocket League at 120 frames and it's amazing. And then I'll get on Shadowkeep to play Destiny 2 with Cognito, and 60 frames feels horrible. Like, it feels janky. And I'm just sitting there, it's like, oh my god, I never could imagine 60 frames could feel horrible. But it certainly does.
60 frames the new filmic?
I guess so. Because it's bad. I mean, it eventually goes away like when we were doing some stuff, but oh my god, like the downgrade from 120 to 60 is so noticeable. You wouldn't think so, because like the jump from 30 to 60 is great and it's so smooth, but then you play 120 and it's like, oh my god, like how much better 120 frames is. So
I was really excited because I discovered my Q60R does 120 frames at 1440p. So I was like, oh wow, I can play Overwatch now at 120 frames. But my capture card is in line with my TV setup, and it bottlenecks it back to 60. So I have to because my capture card is like glued underneath my desk. I've got to undo my entire setup to get that solved. Man, first world problems, baby.
Yeah. So a lot of Rocket League, Destiny 2 with Cognito, playing through Shadowkeep, and I think I'm gonna be playing the Last Wish raid tonight, which is gonna be great. I also did the first DLC for Doom Eternal, the Ancient Gods Part 1, and I was
playing through that too.
That is brutal. It's incredible. I'm playing on normal, and it's hard. It is unrelenting. And they just constantly throw enemies at you nonstop and multiple waves with multiple different types of enemies at once. It's tough. I've been
playing it on. I was playing Doom Eternal on hard. Because I reviewed it on hard, and I played the original on hard, and I didn't think hard was too hard. You know, I thought it was like a good challenge, but man, the Ancient Gods on hard is just insane. I'm just like, man, I don't know if I've got the patience for this anymore. I remember I got through this repeat trying this one segment where there's those Kako demons floating in and there's the all sorts of stuff coming at you all over the place, and I failed on that repeatedly for 40 minutes or something, and then the next segment was boom, Marauder.
Yep, Marauder. A Marauder combined with two Hell Knights or something, and you're just constantly moving around, you know?
I was just like, I'm done for now. I need to take a break from this. But oh man, Christ, it is a brutal DLC, but I like it. I like it like that. It feels great when you overcome a segment that's super hard. But I think I might have to bump the difficulty down to normal because maybe I'm just getting too old, man. Like I was playing it and I was like, man, is my brain degrading? Like I didn't realize that it was actually like designed to be harder. And I was actually like thinking, I was thinking like I didn't find the base game this hard. Why is this so hard? But it seems to be a common consensus that it is just harder. So
Yeah. Well,
um
I really since they're both out, it was the reason why I started to play them because I wanted to just play them back to back. So I did part one, incredibly difficult, even on normal, just unrelenting, but still obviously really good. And now I'm going to be starting Ancient Gods Part 2 when I finish It Takes Two. And I hear that's pretty difficult as well, especially the final boss. Like, apparently the final boss is just really, really difficult. Like, you have to be you have to, like, basically be perfect when you fight him. So, looking forward to playing that. And then, obviously the game I've been playing the most, which I have about 10 hours in, and I'm still not finished. So, the length of this game is pretty decent, is It Takes Two, which is on screen. And Jez, the reviews ain't wrong. This is an incredible game. Absolutely incredible. Me and my buddy Sam, who are playing in co-op, is just... It's remarkable to me how much better it is than A Way Out. Like, we really enjoyed A Way Out, but when you compare It Takes Two to A Way Out, you can definitely see that the team at Hazelight were more confident in what they were doing, like the whole co-op aspect, the innovative approach to co-op. Like, they're doing different things, but the storytelling, the animations, like how the game looks, how the game performs, and just like how long it is and how many different like sections there are, you can definitely see the extra money poured onto the screen. And like right now, without finishing it, like I would probably give it like almost a 9. Like it's that good. It's one of the best co-op games experiences I've had for a while, and it's really refreshing because you would think a game like this would get stale after a bit, but each kind of world changes up the game mechanics. So in one level, you're aligned with the squirrels to destroy the wasps, right? And one character can do something that the other character can't, and you usually have to help each other solve a different bunch of like platforming issues, like a lot of puzzles. So for instance, my character, Cody, the dude, he can spray this like sap on stuff to like weigh down like kind of like things in the world, so like you can jump on them. But then the girl will have like a matchstick where she can explode them. So you can imagine all the different scenarios going on with that. But then later, this is where the tomato thing comes in. We were fighting a boss, and the boss turned me into a tomato. So I had to roll around as a tomato, which was incredibly funny because, of course, you had to pick that character, right? And then you get to that part, and he turns into a tomato. It was just funny because even my buddy Sam was laughing about it. But the game's incredible. So if you have somebody to play it with, I recommend it. The person doesn't even have to buy it. It's $40, and you get a free friend pass. So, if you bought the game, Jez, and you wanted to play it with somebody, they don't have to buy it. They can just download it via the friend pass, and then you can play it for free. So only one person has to buy the game, which is really cool. And yes, you do need to play it in co-op, whether it's local co-op or whether it's online. You can't play this game by yourself. I mean, you could try to like play it with both controllers, but I think that would be incredibly difficult.
You could play one controller with your feet or something.
I mean, you'd have to be really good to be able to play this game and play both characters at the same time, because there are things you just have to do at the same time to help each character get across certain. Like, it definitely has a more puzzle aspect to it than A Way Out, but my God, it's such a like little cool game, and there's so many different gameplay like touches that they do, like kind of there's a Street Fighter kind of montage or callback or whatever you want to call it. There's a Diablo like level, I guess you would want to call it. Like they poured their hearts and souls into this, and this is kind of what I was mentioning to you before. This was kind of what I was hoping happens with Xbox Game Studios, right? You take these studios that were independent, Obsidian, Ninja Theory, Compulsion Games. You take, your Double Fine, right? All making good games, but a little bit more of the indie style. But they join Xbox Game Studios. They're under the Microsoft umbrella. They get more people joining because all these teams are hiring. They get a bigger budget, bigger resources. This is kind of what I want to see. The jump from A Way Out to It Takes Two is very noticeable. That's what I want to see from Xbox Game Studios. Like, when you see Hellblade 2, you can see, okay, this is what the Microsoft acquisition does. You can see the extra money and resources on screen. Like, I want to see that big, jump from Hellblade 1 to Hellblade 2. Or, the big jump between, like, Outer Worlds to Avowed, stuff like that. Does that make sense, Chaz?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote an article, like, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, which was basically, like, Bethesda's great, but, Xbox Game Studios, I want to see them get stepped up to. I always think about Mass Effect. The delta between Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 is so big. And that's why I often got frustrated with Microsoft for not giving sequels a chance, because I always felt like the sequel is a chance to address feedback, address things that were wrong with the first game, not just sort of give up on a world that you've designed and developed, Like, I really feel like Recore 2 could, be good if the right developer came along and they addressed the feedback from the first game, Like, I felt like that IP had some, like, legs to it, but alas, we just need to wait and see. This is sort of like, it's a long time coming and it's a long time to wait, but like from this year and next year, especially into 2022 and 2023, it's gonna be like the sort of put up or shut up. That's gonna be like 100% Phil's Xbox. It's gonna be 100% Matt Booty's Xbox Game Studios. It's gonna be 100% the new budgets. It's gonna be 100% what you can expect of Xbox going forward. So it's with that in mind that, yeah, I really, really do have high expectations for Hellblade 2. I do have high expectations for State of Decay 3. When they put out CGI trailers that look that cool, the gameplay bloody better match up to that, So, yeah. Rant.
Yes.
Over.
Flame says, Jez, everyone also asks, what are the oohs and why do we have to ooh, but no one ever asks, how are you ooh? But, by the way, it takes two is game of the year. People just love hearing me say that, and I don't know. I still don't even understand what it means. I think Jez has tried to explain it, but I don't get it. I still don't understand.
You don't get it?
I don't get it. What does ooh mean? UW.
Ooh.
What does it mean?
I think if more people send you oohs, eventually you'll get it. So everyone should spam you with ooh.
No, nobody should do that at all. Nobody. So yeah, It Takes Two. I highly recommend it. It's right up there with Hitman 3 as the best games released this year. I'm constantly in awe of the gameplay changes that they do because they always make it fresh, and it just for a team of 65, you just look at this and being like, man, they know what they're doing. Their whole thing is just like immersive and innovative co-op experiences, and there's really nothing else like these sort of games out there. So if you have someone to play it with, only one of you have to buy it because one can use the friend pass. So play the game. It's absolutely incredible. And shout out to Dragon Force 993 for becoming the newest member of the channel. Appreciate your support, brother. Hope you enjoy the emotes. But everyone's spamming Ulu and Randall Senpai in chat, and this is ridiculous.
So Rand's like, yeah, talking about how great this game is, and I'm just like staring at the uwus in the chat. I love it. But like, I'm watching the game. I'm watching the gameplay. It does look really, really cool. But
It
it's
is.
like finding someone who I can align my schedule with to do a co-op game is so hard right now. But maybe one day I'll find
maybe
someone to
you
play
and
it.
Miles Dampierre can play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we could stream it or something.
Like this part right here that's going on is she has a hammerhead, right? So she can smash things, and I have nails, and I can throw the nails that they lodge into the yellow boards, so she can kind of complete these platforming tasks, and then I can call them back with Y. And obviously, it's a little bit simple in the beginning when you first get them, but it becomes way more complicated. And then you use the abilities in the boss fights. So, like, I think I have an hour captured here, so you can kind of get a sense of it. But it's awesome. The game's great.
Lewis Kavanaghi says it takes uwu.
Oh Jesus!
Oh mate, that is great. But yeah, maybe I could do a playthrough with Miles on the Windows Central channel at some point. But oh, brilliant!
It's super cool.
You guys crack me up.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. Whole bunch of Rocket League. So much fun. 120 frames. It's ruined Destiny 2 for me at 60 frames. I'm looking forward to actually playing through the raid, Last Wish raid with Cognito and Forte and Attic, and then finishing It Takes Two, and then gonna be starting Ancient Gods Part 2. Oh, and I also played Adios. I forgot about that. I played a bunch of games this week. Some weeks it's not a lot, but then some weeks there's a lot. So, have you heard of Adios at all?
Nope.
Jez?
Nope.
No.
What is that?
Adios is an indie game that came out last week. I think from Doc Squiddy. He's on Twitter. I don't know. Do you follow him, or do you know who he is? Anyways, it's how do I describe it? It's like a Coen Brothers film. You're a farmer, and you dispose of bodies for the mafia by giving them by feeding their parts to the pigs. And basically, the setup is you want to quit. You don't want to work for the mafia anymore. So the hitman is basically like, you know what that means, right? And it's like a day where the hitman decides to join you with all the kind of tasks you do at your farm to convince you to change your mind. And the dialogue is fantastic. The story like hooked me from the beginning. It definitely is an indie game, right? It doesn't look great, and it's not really supposed to because it's only made by a few people. But I gotta say, towards the end of the game, there is really a gut punch. And I would love to recommend it to everybody. The only problem is it's like $18. And the game's like an hour long. It's kind of... And there's not really much like gameplay per se. Like you'll walk around your farm and you'll approach like a scene, and the scene will start. And basically what you do is choose dialogue options, like what to say. And then it all leads up to the end. And while the end is emotional and gut punching, it's just hard to really recommend that game to people for $18 when most people will be like $18 for an hour. That's a little bit too much. But other than that, I really did enjoy it though. I think it's worth playing when it becomes a little bit cheaper. So yeah, I played that game as well. Ralph Wiggum, shout out to you for the uwu little symbol in chat. Appreciate it. And so that's what we've been playing this week. And by the way, on screen right now, my buddy. So It Takes Two has a bunch of mini games you can play. This one's like whack-a-mole. I keep on beating my buddy Sam at these mini games to the point where he demanded we keep on doing it until he wins. So that's why you might see me do this mini game a couple times, because he was just really upset he couldn't win. So I'm dead serious, because there's a couple times where he's just like, "No, we need to redo it. You're cheating or whatever," right? So,
man,
anyways.
That's like my brother with like Monster Hunter World has like an arm wrestling table in like the social area. There's like an arm wrestling table where you can like basically you just mash a button to arm wrestle, and I just could never beat my brother. And like every time me and my brother played Monster Hunter with someone else, he just like every single time he beat like everyone at this arm wrestling thing. And then like my friend's girlfriend just dominated him at this arm wrestling thing. I see. I love mini games in games. Not enough games have like these mini games and these like little pointless features.
And he demanded that I just pop up in one spot so he could win. That's how bad it got. Like, just keep on popping up in the one spot so I can win. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So fun times with It Takes Two. Can't wait to finish it. See how the story ends. But yeah, let's move on to some of these topics, Jez. So if you guys are enjoying the show, do us a favor, hit that like button and share this out or tell a friend about it. We always appreciate more people finding the podcast. And shout out to Game Pass Perry for becoming the newest member of the channel. Appreciate your support and enjoy all the great emotes that we have here. So thank you. What do you want to talk about first, Jez? Let's since James is here, James Shields, I figured we'll start with the light topic first. Basically, the two new controllers that were announced, the Electric Volt and Daystrike Camo, but more importantly, how they're post-consumer related recycled resin controllers, and how Windows Central Gaming said that they're garbage.
That was like that was Matt Brown's clever headline.
So I mean, you had nothing to do with it?
No, not really. I did the tweet, but Matt did the headline. But yeah, why was that not well received?
I don't know. I thought it was clever. I thought it was funny because it is basically recycled resin, so it's garbage.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. And they look great. They look really, really nice. It's a very vivid shade of like greeny yellow. But the whole recycling angle is interesting. I'd love to see like a process on how that's done.
Do you think are you a fan of the two controllers? Because I'm not. I immediately told James, I was like, I'm not a fan of this Mountain Dew yellow Electric Volt. What happened to? Because the theory, the conspiracy theory out there is that when Microsoft released the blue controller and then Microsoft released the red controller, which blue was Shock Blue and the red was Pulse Red, right? That Microsoft was hinting at a Sega acquisition out in the open, right? Blue for Sonic, red for Knuckles, right? And everybody was waiting for the yellow controller. And we didn't get a yellow controller. We got a Mountain Dew. So, like, does this change it up? Like, because Tails isn't that color yellow. So is this Sega acquisition, did it fall apart? Is that what these controllers are telling us?
There is a Sonic. Some of the more obscure Sonic characters have like other colors. Like man, what was that? There was a green hedgehog in one of the Sonic cartoons where they're musicians. I can't remember what it was. My little brother loved that incarnation of Sonic, but that's a bit of a stretch. Almost as if Microsoft probably wouldn't hint that they were buying Sega by making controllers about it. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm funny about colors, man. I only really like solid colors generally. I don't really like patterns and stuff. I got like an extreme rate shell for my one controller that's sort of red. And then I got my black Elite controller. That's enough for me. But there have been some really cool designs. Oh god, actually, come to think of it, I completely forgot about this. Bloober Team sent me a medium controller.
Yeah, I didn't get no controller.
Did you see those?
I did. But you're a really important Jez Corden. I'm just stupid YouTuber Randolph Horror.
I might do a giveaway for the controller, maybe on Twitter or something. Get it to a good home, because I've just got so many controllers.
You have a lot of controllers, and I mean, so do I. I mean, I have I got a lot of controllers from the Xbox One, and I do have the blue controller and the black controller for Series X version. I do kind of want the red one, but I'll probably wait for a price drop on it before I get it. And Electric Volt and Daystrike camo, no go for me. Don't like that color. Don't like the color of the camo. Come on, I know you guys can do better with that. I know James is sitting there being like, I don't even care, whatever.
I like some of the theme controllers they've done. Like the Sea of Thieves controller was so nice with the sort of glowy texture and the textured plastic. And some of the Gears of War controllers I've done have been amazing over the years. I wonder if they'll do something for Halo Infinite. Kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, I do. I also thought that too. Halo Infinite controller totally makes sense. What about Halo Infinite Series X and S? It wouldn't have been able for launch. I just wonder if there's enough lead-in time where it got delayed for a year. Is that enough time to engineer and sketch out a custom system? But with all the semiconductor problems that are going on across the world, is it even realistically that they could somehow have multiple the regular versions and then a Halo Infinite version?
Maybe they could do like a controller, but like maybe not a full console because of the shortage. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think like it's kind of interesting though because like the shape of the consoles lends themselves pretty well to like skins and shells and stuff. Like you can buy skins for the Xbox consoles from D brand. That's not a sponsor, by the way. I almost bought one of the wood skins for my console, but I don't know.
Dovakin89 says, didn't Insomniac Dev say that the PS5 SSD is not special today on an interview? Like anything designed around the PS5 SSD can run on a Series X and S. I mean, if they did, I haven't heard any of that stuff, but there's been a lot have been touting the PS5's SSD, but the most you probably see is like what you saw with Marvel Avengers, where the load times were like 4 seconds on the PS5 and then like 6 seconds on the Series X, where more than likely that'll be what it is for the gen. Like the PlayStation 5 just loads faster by 2 to 5 seconds or something. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these games they're gonna have to run on their multi-platform, and even a lot of Sony's games are gonna end up on PC. So,
Yep.
So
and most PC SSDs are not as fast as Sony's SSD.
So
I think they probably overspec that a bit, but
potentially, Eliminator or 809 says, "Hey Rand, since Sony have been on a hiring speed, do you know any PS5 games unannounced? Also, PlayStation has seemed very close with Square Enix. I mean, everybody seems to be on a hiring spree, so is Xbox. I'm sure there are plenty of PlayStation games that are announced. Naughty Dog's obviously working on something, a new IP, and potentially, the Last Factions multiplayer. Bend is probably working on Days Gone 2. There's the other rumored game that Guerrilla's working on that may or may not be SOCOM. So I'm sure there's plenty of unannounced games that PlayStation has. They're just, it's not time to reveal them just yet. I mean, hell, there's even like the second game that Sony Santa Monica's working on that they're hiring writers for. So there's plenty of unannounced games for both systems, and even for Nintendo. Don't forget about Nintendo. And Square Enix, man, they're playing both sides very well. They're getting money from PlayStation for exclusivity for games like Final Fantasy 16, for Spoken, right? Sony's basically giving them a whole bunch of money up front, basically paying for development, all that good stuff. And then they're taking money from Microsoft for Game Pass deals, like Octopath Traveler, Outriders Day 1, and then there was that report by IGN Korea that said, hey, Microsoft has a deal with Square Enix for like 6 or 7 Game Pass titles that have yet to be revealed. So Square Enix they're playing both sides extremely well. They're getting money from Sony and Microsoft. What do you think about that, Jez? Do you have any insight or any guesses on what we could expect to see from the Square Enix 6 or 7 games that are coming to Game Pass? The deal that they made with Microsoft?
I have literally no idea. I suppose like Tomb Raider's probably in the running, but hasn't that already been on Game
Yeah,
Pass at some point?
the Shadow of the Tomb Raider came to Game Pass like 3 months after it came out. So, I mean, it could be one,
Yeah.
but
So,
I think they're probably I wouldn't say all unannounced, but uh, I know the hope is like one of them is Final Fantasy VII remake. You know what I mean? But
yeah, that'd be absurd, man. It's kind of Square Enix kind of annoys me because they always take this like this approach to things where they I don't know they're so willing to screw over fans to make these exclusivity deals on both sides. You know, not just PlayStation but also on Xbox. So um, why don't they just make good games and put them everywhere? But money's money, money talks. So um, that's Square Enix for you. But I have no idea what kind of games that could be. They've already put like a lot of classic Final Fantasy games onto Game Pass, like some of those remakes. And oh, sorry. There's also like there's a lot of games waiting in the wings, like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Where the hell is that? Still no announcement. Whatever. We've also got Final Fantasy 12 came to Game Pass, I think, recently. Zodiac Age, the remake. So they're clearly like Game Pass. They clearly see Game Pass as a positive thing. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have cut that deal for Outriders or whatever. If they thought it was going to hurt the game, because clearly it's not going to hurt the game. But I don't know, man. Do you really think Final Fantasy VII Remake could be in Game Pass? When they finally announce it.
I mean, I'm still of the opinion that it won't be coming to Xbox this year.
Yeah.
I still think for whatever reason, potentially Sony, wanted to do another year of exclusivity for the PS5 version. I don't know. Like, I'm not expecting Final Fantasy Remake to be one of those, but I would love to be wrong. Like, honestly, I would love to be wrong. Prove me wrong. Put Final Fantasy VII Remake on Game Pass, and I'll gladly be like, I was totally wrong on this, and I'm happy I'm wrong. I don't know. I just have this feeling that Final Fantasy's not one of them. I mean, are there any guesses what they could be?
Classics they announced.
What if it was Dragon Quest Builders?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Another Dragon Quest game.
Like a bunch
what
of
if it was? What if it was Balan Wonderworld, the game that came out, didn't get any review copies, and apparently is absolutely god awful?
Yeah, that game sounds. Well, actually, I played it. I played the demo when it hit. It was terrible, and I just wrote it off.
But that's where the Game Pass quality control is supposed to come in, because Microsoft doesn't want to put horrible games in the Game Pass, and that's why they kind of curate it to make it so that there aren't a stinker like Balan Wonderworld.
What did they put Destiny in it?
Oh, they put Destiny in it. But that's say what you will about.
I'm joking.
I know,
joking,
but Destiny is played by lots and lots of people. But
yes, I'm joking.
I know you are.
Please
Equinox says,
send me angry tweets.
Equinox says, "Hey Jez, what is with Persona on Xbox? Give us a hint."
Man, I don't have any more information about that other than my smiley face.
Other than Jez, so confirmed. Jez Corden smiley face Persona coming to Xbox.
We talked about Persona last week.
It's
just like all I've heard is that they're working on it, and I don't know if they're gonna succeed. I don't know if anything's gonna come of it. I just I know that it's something that they want to do, and also it's kind of like it's not even news really, because Phil himself said it. Well, he didn't say that specifically about Game Pass, but he did say, I hear you with regards to bringing Persona to Xbox. So I think like Yakuza, the way Yakuza has found a new audience in Game Pass is definitely something that's probably given Atlas, gotten Atlas's attention. And it's certainly gotten Sega's attention, obviously. But I don't know exactly the full details of because there's Atlas and there's Sega. but it does kind of feel like Atlas is sort of like an entity unto itself where they can just decide, we don't think it's worth it or whatever. Clearly, Sega thought putting Yakuza on Game Pass was worth it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Sega will have all that data now, and they'll go because like they ported one game and then they ported all the games, and like I see people on Twitter talking about Yakuza all the time. So Sega will take that data to Atlas and be like, yeah, this is probably a good thing. Let's do it, you know.
Well, I mean,
So
they're just leaving a ton. They're leaving a ton of money on sale, not putting Persona on Switch, not putting Persona on PC, not putting Persona on Xbox by having Microsoft, essentially.
yeah.
Like, there's a ton of money to be made from that. Now, I don't know if like Sony has some sort of exclusivity deal with
Persona
Persona
is
and
on
Atlas,
PC.
but
It is on PC.
Persona 4 Golden's on PC. But I'm just saying, like,
Persona 5 Strikers is on PC too.
yeah. So
I don't know what that is though.
I feel extremely confident the Persona series will make its way over to Xbox. So I agree with Jazz.
What is the difference between Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5 Strikers? I don't even know.
Well, so like Strikers, from my limited understanding, and my buddy Lovebug Gopher would know more about this. Strikers is like a different genre. It's like a Dynasty Warriors game, like a Musu game, with the characters essentially, and like Persona 5 Royale is another edition of Persona 5 with like an extra character.
Definitive edition sort of thing.
Kind of. I'm sure Persona fans would be like screaming at us in the comments right now, but I guess there's an extra character added in Persona 5 Royale, and maybe some like improvements to the game overall or something. But yeah,
The last Persona game I played was Persona 3. That's that's how out of the loop I am with Persona games. So yeah, sorry Matteo. I don't have any definitive information about Persona, but just keep an eye out and keep the faith and keep letting Xbox know you guys want it.
yeah. I feel pretty confident it's coming. Chiefman says if Microsoft have 10 billy for Discord, they have 3 billy for Sega. Also, let's get more Square on Game Pass. Octopath is getting a lot of downloads. Game Pass is only going to get bigger and better. They're going to get bigger third-party games on their day one. Outriders is just the beginning. It won't be the last one. It's going to be a big year for Game Pass, especially if they can get out Halo, Starfield, and Forza Horizon 5 this year at the end, and the rumored Ubisoft thing, which we've been talking about since last year. I don't know if you saw, but Jeff Grubb briefly mentioned it in a podcast a couple days ago. Mentioned the Ubisoft, games and Game Pass. Like, I'm expecting big things from Game Pass this year. I think you are too, aren't you, Jez?
Yep.
But it all depends. Like, obviously, Starfield may or may not come out this year. Forza Horizon 5 may or may not come out this year. You never know how COVID has infected development. Like, the only thing I'm like for sure on is that Halo's coming out. But then again, what would happen if Halo got delayed till next year, Jez? Would somebody get fired?
Oh, nothing. I don't know, man. I mean, there's a kind of like there's a limit on how much blame you can generate around the pandemic. I mean, I don't have the ins and outs of how it's affected them specifically, and how they've been able to like pivot to a cloud-based, company and stuff. Like Microsoft is going to keep work from home as an option for all staff, even after the pandemic. So you would have to hope that they are well equipped to actually achieve that. But it is like flipping your company culture on its head in a pretty short space of time. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did get delayed. But does someone need to be fired for it? I don't know. You could argue that it wasn't in any kind of shape even before the pandemic. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think like Halo has to release, and if it releases in a bad state, then I think it's time to look at like new leadership for that whole franchise across the board, because it's like, it's Microsoft's biggest franchise, and it hasn't been handled the best. Now, can you blame the Terry Myerson budget era for that? I don't know. But like, I do know for a fact that Halo is the biggest budget of all Xbox games by a significant margin. And if they don't deliver on that budget and that promise, then it's kind of like, damn, you know. So I don't know, man. I hope it's not delayed for you. I hope it's not delayed for
I
your
doubt
sake.
it's
I
delayed.
personally,
I don't think it'll be
I'll
delayed.
be playing Battlefield 6, man. I'll be playing Battlefield 6.
Yeah. Battlefield 6 and then Call of Duty apparently going back to World War II. Awesome, amazing. That's sarcasm, by the way. I'm so over World War stuff. Like, I played them to death, on the 360. Everybody was doing World War. And then it was like, okay, now we're doing modern, which is great, and even we're getting to the future stuff, like even with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and then everybody wanted to go retro. Battlefield 1 was such a success that they're like, hey, we want to go back to World War One, and then Call of Duty went back to World War Two, and then Battlefield 5 kind of ruined it by going back to World War Two, and it's like, okay, now we're going back to modern. Like 6 is going to be modern. Call of Duty is not going to do World War anymore. But then what do you know? Supposedly this new Call of Duty Vanguard or whatever is an alternate history World War II game set in the 50s or something. And it's just like, I'm so done with World War II at this point. Like, why are we doing this stuff? It's like, what sort of stories haven't we told from World War II, at this point? Like, there's been so many of them.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they decided to do that. It's almost like they're running out of ideas. But it's like, it's also like, how do you annualize something like warfare? It's kind of weird. I think Call of Duty's future might just be the free to play stuff. I think like I mean, this is probably naive, but I want to believe that Call of Duty will start losing steam. Like the fact that like the new one is going to compete with the free to play one, Warzone or whatever. I think that will probably affect its sales, and the fact that I don't think there's an appetite for World War II, I think that could affect its sales. Maybe not like the same kind of, It's really funny because like people think of Call of Duty Ghosts as like a failure, but it still sold millions and millions of copies because Call of Duty does. It's what Call of Duty does. It just sells and sells and sells and sells for some reason. Like I bought oh man, which one was it now? I can't even remember the name of it. The one where like the first one with like the hero classes and stuff. It was modern. Was it Black Ops 3, 4, 5? I can't even remember what it was called, man. But I just like, even though I hadn't played Call of Duty for years, I was still kind of like, wow, it's exactly the same, and it's still got the awful server infrastructure and the stupid peer-to-peer hosting, and it's still full of hackers and people using a mouse and keyboard against controller players, and it's just, I'm just so over Call of Duty as a franchise personally. I'm all about that Battlefield, baby. I've got high hopes for Battlefield 6.
I have high hopes for Battlefield 6 as well. I've always preferred Battlefield over Call of Duty for multiplayer. Campaigns, I've always preferred Call of Duty over Battlefield in that regard, but I really want Battlefield to go back to modern. But yeah, Chiefman says Game Pass lifts sales on all platforms. When a game trends on Twitter from Game Pass, a lot of people just download it on PlayStation. Lifting trends draw developers. That is true. A lot of people view Game Pass, a lot of developers, as like a advertising tool. People play it, they talk about it on Twitter, they get their friends to play the game, everybody's kind of talking about it, and then it kind of increases sales on other platforms. And that's something that a lot of people feared about Game Pass in the beginning, Jez, right? A lot of developers weren't really sure what to make of it. They thought if they put their game there, then nobody would continue to buy their game. But it really is proven the opposite. where it's basically this huge advertising platform for your game, and not only does it increase the sales of your game on Xbox, but even other platforms as well. So not only do you get a big check from Microsoft to put your game on there, but then your sales don't decline; they increase, which is why you're starting to see more big, like your Outriders deal, more Square Enix games, Sega bringing Yakuza over. Like you'll just start to see more and more of that stuff happening as time goes
It's
on.
definitely a hook. It's kind of like if you've got like loads of people talking about Outriders because it's easily accessible on Xbox with Game Pass, then like the people who don't have an Xbox will be like, oh wow, everyone's talking about this game. I'll buy it for PC or whatever, or the other platforms that it's on. So like it does have this sort of it drives a halo effect over a game, which leads to sales on other platforms and other markets. And with gamers who don't have Game Pass and don't want Game Pass, and people who still enjoy buying physical games because half of us still buy physical discs. So there is that whole angle as well. So often hear this like fear that Game Pass is like somehow going to make the industry bad and that developers aren't going to make any money and it's gonna sort of drive down the profitability of gaming in a similar way to Spotify is often criticized for driving down the profitability of music. But I think it's just a different situation because with games there's like an upsell. There's like okay, like music, maybe you have merchandising to some degree, but like nothing as potent as like V-Bucks or like microtransactions and stuff like that. I mean, as long as they're like kept optional and cosmetic, then I think that's like fine personally. But you know, there's that whole fear that Microsoft wants everything to be Game Pass, and I think they've been pretty clear that Game Pass is supposed to be an option, not a replacement. I don't think Microsoft will ever stop selling games at retail. I think they'll keep doing it, and as long as people want to buy it at retail.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you can
Yeah.
still buy CDs and you can still buy vinyls. I think vinyls outsell CDs now, which is wild.
Well, I mean, the
But you
streaming
still
market
buy
kind of
good
overtook it.
vinyl.
I remember people saying like nobody would subscribe to a music streaming platform, and then that's all people do. Like they just
Yeah,
subscribe to Spotify because literally everything's there. Or nobody would subscribe to Netflix. Like who wants to subscribe to Netflix? It's all about Blockbuster. And look what happened. People will always choose convenience. I think it's pretty
yeah,
apparent when you look at us as a species. Like people will always choose convenience and low price over everything else, even over physical ownership. You look at it now, like who would have thought, especially with like the Xbox One and their DRM, which was going to basically turn physical games into a digital copy. And everybody was like, no, 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 you can't do this. We love physical forever, blah, 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 right? Like, I love physical. I want to trade in my games. I want to own them. I want to hold them forever. And then you look at it now, we're like, it's basically what, 55-50? Or, like, it's 60-40, 55-45 in favor of digital, where, like, the convenience factor of having that game downloaded and ready to go on launch day, or just I don't need to go to GameSpot or GameStop or order from Amazon. The game's just there. Like the convenience factor of digital basically push people towards that format. Even though you can get games cheaper at launch physically, a lot of people just don't care for whatever reason. I don't care. But then again, I also game share, so I can pretty much get every game half price regardless, which, I really shouldn't talk about because that's supposed to be kept hush hush, you know? Um, but it's I don't know, consumer habits have pointed to like basically convenience over everything, so it's not surprising whatsoever.
I mean, publishers have like made the case. Remember back in the day, like when you bought a game, like it'd have a map in it, it'd have an instruction manual in it, it might have some like cool little extras, physical stuff that were inserted in the game case. And now, like, you don't even get an instruction manual most of the time. It's a digital license in a box. That's what you get when you buy a physical game these days. A digital license in a box, which is, not great. It's funny because I remember when Half-Life 2 came out, Rand, and it required this scary thing called DRM, which was Steam, and every PC gamer loves Steam now, and it's basically the same. It's the same sort of formula. Like there's no such thing as a physical PC disc. It's always attached to some form of DRM. It's either Steam DRM. If you buy a physical PC game, it's either Steam DRM or some other platform's DRM, a BattleNet or something. There's no such thing as like a unrestricted PC game for the most part nowadays.
Yeah.
But I remember the whole argument with Half-Life 2 being, forced to use Steam. I remember like being irritated about that. Man, when did that game come out? When I was like 18? No, younger. 17? 16? I don't know. God, Jesus, that was a long time ago. I made myself feel old now, Ryan.
Yeah.
When did Half-Life 2 come out?
But obviously the digital future does have its drawbacks. I mean, with the rumors that Sony's about to remove the PlayStation 3 and Vita store, and those games will just be lost. Now, like, I know that's been a conversation for like a week now, and we don't know if Sony's planning some sort of backwards compatibility for those titles on the PS5. And even Michael in the super chat says digital is definitely the future, but physical always have a place. People will always need a backup in case hardware or internet malfunctions.
Yeah, I hope it sticks around because it's just kind of cool that there's the option to collect. Like, I used to collect 360 discs. I had like dozens and dozens of Xbox 360 games and dozens of OG Xbox games. And when the Xbox One first came out, I started buying them physically. But then it's that damned convenience, man. But like Angry Video Game Nerd, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, he's got like the most impressive collection of, video game stuff. Cartridges, it's the Super Nintendo and stuff. It just kind of, the idea of taking that away from people who do collect just kind of makes me sad. But, we've seen vinyl records resurge and come back into fashion. Like, I buy vinyl records now, even though I do have Spotify as well. But I don't know. Humans are weird.
We are very weird. So let's talk about, let's get into these bigger topics, shall we? I figured let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about Discord, okay? So how did this start out? Bloomberg, no, it wasn't Bloomberg, it was VentureBeat. They came out and said, hey, Discord is looking to sell, according to sources, for like $10 billion, that they've entered into an exclusive contract with somebody. There was all this like back and forth, like, oh, these people say this, and we weren't sure who was, basically trying to buy Discord, or if Discord was just kind of seeing what was out there, getting a sense of how much they're worth, and then they would go and do an IPO and become a publicly traded stock, right? There's that whole thing, and then Bloomberg came out and said, hey, Microsoft is looking to buy Discord for over $10 billion. But even that article was like, they're in early talks. Who knows if it'll ever be completed? It also said that more than likely that Discord will just sell itself publicly, et cetera, et cetera. And then the Wall Street Journal came out the other day and said Microsoft was the one who entered into exclusive negotiations with Discord to buy them. And here we are today. And you, Jez, because I was talking a little bit about with you earlier, you think, or at least you're fairly confident that this is a slam dunk for Microsoft, that they are going to buy Discord. And why don't you tell people your reasoning behind that? Why this makes complete... Because there's still some people out there that don't understand why this makes sense for Xbox and Microsoft. Some people worried, and rightfully so, about, hey, Microsoft bought Skype and kind of ruined it, so maybe they would do the same with Discord. Let the people know why you think this is a perfect fit for Xbox and Microsoft, and why essentially they wouldn't ruin it.
first of all, I don't have any inside information specifically about this. The only inside information I have about this is that I know that Microsoft is working on deeper Discord integration for Xbox Live. Whether that means cross-platform chat or cross-platform voice, I don't know. I just know that that's something they're working towards right now. So you'd have to assume that if they are in an exclusive negotiations with Discord. My argument previously about that was, man, it's kind of concerning if you want to open up Xbox Live to another a competing service, basically, and then Amazon buys Discord. That puts Microsoft in a tricky position, right? Because they've hooked up Xbox Live to a competing platform, and Amazon could just be like, yeah, well, we're going to start spamming our services and advertising us, Amazon Luna through Discord on Xbox or something. There's a bit of a conflict there. However, if Microsoft was to integrate Discord and then buy it, that makes far more sense. So when I heard about this, I was like, oh, that's why Microsoft's working towards integration with Discord. It's because they're trying to buy Discord. I have no idea if they'll be successful. It's kind of hard to judge because I haven't seen Discord's financials. They're a private company.
Apparently Discord isn't profitable. They don't make any money. That's kind of what the reports were saying. And that if they did go public, then their shareholders would want there to be, make money right away. So maybe that would change Discord for the worse, where right now Discord's a free platform. It has no ads. You can buy Nitro to make it better. But if they went public, maybe Nitro becomes mandatory. Maybe they limit certain options. Maybe ads start showing up. Maybe they start selling your personal data because they need to make money, right? Those type of things. Where if Microsoft bought them, they wouldn't have to do that,
Yeah. So if Discord last year announced initiative to break away from its gaming, a lot of people don't know this, but Discord posted this on their blog that they want to break away from their gaming identity and become more of a lifestyle brand. They were talking about Discord for business, where businesses can use Discord. And I know for a fact that, there are businesses out there that use Discord because it's basically Slack, but free, So there is a sense at Discord that from last year, they were already thinking about how can we diversify, grow our business, and actually make some money. Because right now, supposedly they're not making any money, and I wouldn't be surprised they're not making any money. They offer video conferencing for free. They offer voice chat for free. And all this stuff costs money. It costs a lot of money, bandwidth, hosting, and all that sort of stuff. So, and also there's the angle that there are Discord competitors coming out of the woodworks now. There's like this new app called Gilded, which is literally offering, it looks identical to Discord, but it offers all the Discord Nitro features for free. So it's kind of like undercutting Discord. And I think Discord's probably realized that it wouldn't be hard for a company with venture capital money to literally eat Discord's lunch. And this is a point where they need an exit, right? They need an exit. They either need to go public and have a really ambitious plan to actually deliver shareholders their investments back, which they may or may not have, but or they sell to a big tech company for to keep Discord pure and what it was supposed to be, which is gaming oriented. So the fear, naturally and obviously, from everyone who's a fan of Discord, is that Microsoft has this habit of buying social oriented companies and screwing them up. Mixer is one example. I mean, Microsoft didn't screw up Mixer necessarily, but Microsoft's rigid corporate structure, the sort of the misunderstanding of human beings in groups, shall we say, kind of stopped Mixer from taking on Twitch. And I think when I think when the pandemic hit and Mixer was the only platform that didn't grow, kind of that was the writing on the wall that Mixer had something fundamentally wrong with it. Fundamentally wrong with its messaging and its its attempts to grow and all that sort of stuff. So that was that. Also, a lot of people say Microsoft ruined Skype. I disagree with this. I think Skype was always bad, and Microsoft actually pivoted Skype away from its peer-to-peer messaging system. Because I don't know if you remember back in the day, Rand, but your messages wouldn't deliver or be received if only one person was online. And then do you remember like logging into Skype and you get like 100 messages all at once if you're in a group chat because there's no cloud infrastructure. It had no cloud. So Skype sucked back in the day. It really did. And Microsoft didn't make it worse. If anything, Microsoft made it better by making it cloud-based. So your messages actually get sent and stuff like that. Where Skype failed was that it failed to innovate. And you can think Microsoft's rigid corporate structure and lack of understanding or their fear of social networks as a fear of user-generated content, should we say, that Microsoft didn't want to take Skype the sort of direction it needed to go in, which is like to be a more social experience. Where Microsoft likes to do social is in a business context, because in a business context, there's no risk of people abusing your platform. This is what Microsoft is absolutely terrified of, is people abusing their platform. That's why you can't upload pictures to Xbox Live. Is because they're worried that people will abuse their platform, and you'll have situations like Twitter's in right now, where Twitter is literally having to answer the government on questions of Twitter damaging democracy, for example, and creating echo chambers, and Facebook's having to answer this question to society in general, that Facebook is unraveling democracy with its user-generated content. So, and Discord's had its controversies in this space too, with servers that are like either full of racism, full of like controversial content, like the risk to children on Discord is pretty big sometimes. And you get like servers where like YouTubers or Twitch streamers have abused their access to their fans through Twitch, through Discord, sorry. And that is something that Microsoft would be terrified of. But at the same time, that sort of toxicity is something they're going to have to come face to face with, because everything is social now. All gaming is social. And I think like the first platforms that figure out how to marry social and gaming together is going to be the platform that blows up, So obviously you got Tencent waiting in the wings, and Tencent sort of like has massive social platforms. Microsoft has no social platforms. You've got Amazon waiting in the wings. Amazon has Twitch, which is a massive social platform. YouTube and Google has, that's a massive social platform. And yeah, Stadia has failed. You could argue that Microsoft has fended off Stadia, but maybe they won't be able to fend off Amazon Luna, because Twitch is so damn big and so damn integrated with streaming that Amazon Luna and Twitch as a gaming platform that is also connected with social, that is a big threat to Microsoft. So what Microsoft wants out of Discord is they want eyeballs. They want people they want the users. They don't want to like jack up the price. They don't want to add adverts to it. And they don't want to do any of that sort of stuff. What they want is the eyeballs. They want to be able to like push Game Pass through it. They want to be able to offer Game Pass through it, or maybe like even like, add Discord Nitro to Game Pass and stuff like that. That's what they're thinking of. And also, linking Xbox Live up to Discord, because right now Skype is powering the Xbox backend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the idea is that they get the eyeballs, they get the social network, because Discord is a social network. It's not a chat app. It's more than a chat app now. It's a social network. You can hit on the Explore tab, and like the servers there with like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in it. Like it's like Facebook groups on steroids, right? So, it would be good for Microsoft if they did buy it. However, they would need to move fast to prove that they aren't going to ruin it. They'd need to keep the Discord staff that are there now, and and the people who drive that vision, and keep them on, and steward it through the transition, similarly to what they did with GitHub. Because when they bought GitHub, oh man, there was a lot of angry people, and that everyone was scared that they were gonna make all the GitHub features like paid, and they were gonna require a Microsoft account and all this sort of stuff. And Microsoft's like, no, we're not gonna do that. And like a couple of years later, or a year later, or however long it's been, GitHub's fine, and it's just ticking over, doing what it does. So I think, I suppose, like, Microsoft does have a lot of questions to answer, because Skype is not relevant anymore, and Microsoft hasn't really succeeded in social, except for like in a business context. Like, they got LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is growing, but who cares about LinkedIn? It's business stuff, sanitized, corporate. What Microsoft is good at, sanitized and corporate, right? Microsoft is like still such a sanitized sort of company, and Discord is like a little bit, less sanitized. But at the same time, it's kind of like they're looking at this stuff from a social perspective, and also the fact that if Microsoft doesn't get Discord and Amazon gets it, it could turn Amazon into a really serious threat. So it's a little bit about stopping the competition getting it. It's a little bit about enhancing Xbox Live, a little bit about bridging the gap between Xbox and PC, and it's a little bit about Microsoft finally having a social network, because that's the big missing piece of their tech puzzle, I guess. Like, you look at how much social networking Tencent has, for example, it's crazy. Amazon has its social network, and Google has its social network. Apple, I guess, doesn't, but I don't know if Apple's serious about gaming whatsoever. But I don't know. What do you think, Rand? Do you think this is a bad idea for Microsoft? Do you think it's a waste of money? Would you rather them have a new studio, or do you see that there is a credible strategy to be made there?
Well, so I'm going to answer this, but I want to hit up the people's super chats here. Dan Lazaro says, I thought PlayStation players didn't care about back compat. Bagel One says, will Microsoft stop making big budget Sony style third person action adventure story driven games, or will they actively largely cede that format to Sony? I think they'll probably make one. Chiefman says, gonna have dinner with the wife. Show is top notch as usual. See you all on Twitter. Thank you for listening to the show. Hope you enjoy your dinner. And Michael says, I don't know, based on what happened with Mixer. Yeah, that Mixer, like, I understand people's concerns. Showen says Microsoft sucks in the consumer-facing market. So there's definitely a lot of different opinions about this. Now, okay. In a scenario, which this isn't obviously true, if it was, like Michael says here, would have much rather they invest in a new studio. If the choice was, we buy Discord, and if we do, we don't buy any new studios, then clearly I would be like, that's the wrong choice. But this is Microsoft, and that's not going to be an either or, right? So they can buy Discord, and it's not going to prevent them from acquiring some studio down the road. But for me, like you asked that direction, which would I prefer? I would prefer new studios, because I just want more games, and I want more games on Game Pass. So while I understand Microsoft wanting to buy Discord, I don't really see the advantages to me as a consumer immediately. Like, I get the idea of like, hey, for our gaming, we can use Discord as the back end for party chats, for social. Like, imagine how easy it would be to bridge Xbox, PC, and mobile, even though they already do that now, right? Like, I'm on console, a buddy can join my party from the PC, even though it's a little bit convoluted on the PC, or somebody can join the party from mobile, but honestly, like, the voice quality isn't very good from when joining from either, right? So I would imagine like if you integrate it that way, it'd be much easier to do. And then like obviously like the whole game subscription, like Microsoft being like, hey, you subscribe to Game Pass, you also get Discord Nitro, and then you could use that. Like I get why they would want it for those reasons. Plus, there's the whole like I don't even think you mentioned, but like the idea that Discord's on what Google's cloud, and they would remove that and put it on Azure, which would be a big win for Azure, right?
Yeah, that'd be huge for Azure.
And then like I know people will say like, hey, just build your own chat platform, build your own Discord. But in this situation, it's like you could, and you could spend billions of dollars doing it, but would you ever have the reach that Discord has right now? So the idea is you build your own, and maybe it's not as good as Discord, and it doesn't get the monthly active users that Discord has, or you just spend the money to get Discord now, because Discord has 140 monthly active users, and we know Microsoft loves their monthly active users. So
I think like the ship has sailed on Microsoft having been able to build that. The ship has really firmly sailed. Like they could have built it like years ago when when they had Skype, and the 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 glacial pace of fixing Skype has just been shocking. Like they integrated Skype with Xbox. Xbox's backend is powered by Skype. Like the messaging and the voice chats is powered by Skype, I believe anyway. And that all that stuff, making Skype cloud based and switching Skype's code base like 4 times in the last like 3 years or something. It went from UWP to a different app, and then they retired the Win32 app and made an Electron app, and my god, it was just Skype is such a goddamn mess. And they just hadn't any idea what to do with it. I think like if they had moved faster to make Skype a more gaming friendly open platform sort of system, that was also crucially as fast as Discord, because Skype is slow as hell. Like when you open the Skype mobile app, it's slow as hell. It's awful to use, painful to use. It's like using something from 20 years ago. Like I really hate using Skype. But for messaging anyway, like Skype's still like super reliable for videos, but my god, it is super bad for messaging. But obviously most of what you do on Xbox Live is messaging, and it's decent enough for voice chat, I guess.
The quality of voice chat on Xbox Live is pretty good, at least in comparison to like PlayStation Network. It's pretty good. Yeah, Dovakin says Microsoft is clearly on a mission to build something big. Discord looks like a key feature for the bigger picture. So yeah, like while it doesn't do anything for me personally right now, like Bethesda was big for me because I enjoy a lot of their games. Like I enjoy like Machine Games and id Software and Arcane. Like so, like for that, it was like, oh man, I get more games, and these games are going to be in Game Pass, and like the studios aren't going to be shut down, or maybe they can go back to making single player experiences instead of trying their hands at games as a service and all that good stuff, right? Discord's a little bit more. You don't really understand the benefits right away to you, the consumer. But I understand why Microsoft is looking at. Like I understand why like Phil Spencer would want this. You look at it for what they could do in the future with integration on Xbox, PC, mobile, smart TV stuff where like you can just easily do cross chat, the combination of subscriptions, the whole Azure stuff. So yeah, it makes sense. Like
if you sorry to cut you off, but I don't know if you noticed recently, but they've actually packaged Xbox messaging and voice chat as something you can buy on Azure now. So if you're a developer making a mobile app, for example, like take Among Us for example, if you're a developer making a game like Among Us and you wanted to put it on mobile phone, you can have Xbox Live powering your chat systems in the game, even if your game doesn't use Xbox Live. Like they sell that as a feature. Like it's easy to imagine like selling Discord integration as a feature for devs, like using the platform's backend or whatever, the messaging systems and stuff like that. But it's about eyeballs, really. It's like you say, they could build their own platform. Like they got Xbox clubs, and I did see I leaked concept art of this Xbox clubs that looked more like Discord. Like they were literally thinking about it, making Xbox clubs more like Discord. They had concept art for it. They showed it to devs. They were like, "Oh yeah, Xbox clubs will be more like Discord in the future," but they never did it. They didn't do it, and they very, very hard missed the boat on that. If they ever were going to try to do it, it's too late now. The only option for Xbox to have like a social network attached to it is Discord. So while like I understand people's fears and Microsoft has a lot to prove in that space, if I was Microsoft, I would definitely be thinking, man, we need to get that, because if Amazon gets it, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Like Amazon having Twitch and Discord, that would be bad for Microsoft and Xbox. At least in terms of like what they're planning, and their planning is to hit 2 billion, 3 billion gamers. Whether they ever will achieve that is another story. But
I'm gonna say no.
that's the plan.
I'm gonna say no,
Yeah,
unless they get like a
I don't
crazy
know, man.
successful mobile game or something that hits 1 billion by itself. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. It's like you say no, but man, how many people are playing games through Android, Google Play right now? You know, that Google Play is technically the biggest gaming network on earth, and nobody really thinks of that. Like Genshin Impact just hit like $1 billion, and that ain't through PlayStation. That's through Google Play. I'm telling you. So when it comes to these sort of massive social platforms and stuff like that, they've got to look beyond the console. Like the console is the bedrock, right? But they've got to look beyond the console, and social media has to be a part of that. It has to be. So I don't know, man. I think, yeah, it's like it kind of sucks that we live in a world where everything has to be bought eventually, but no company, no, unless you're like like a Zuckerberg or something, or a Jack Dorsey, and you want to go public and you want to work forever, basically. Most startups sell. They make a product, they grow it, and then they sell, and then they go and buy an island and live happily ever after. That's how business works. You don't go into business thinking, I'm going to change the world and never retire. I mean, some people do, but most startups don't. Like Microsoft buys startups all the time. They bought Wunderlist, and they bought like tons of stuff. I can't even think off the top of my head, but I should like research that and put a list together of all the stuff that Microsoft bought. They bought like tons of mobile apps, like Wunderlist and that email app, which rebranded to Outlook at some point, and all that sort of stuff. And then all the studios they buy and all the technology they buy, Space VR, and it's just crazy the amount of stuff that Microsoft buys and integrates into its platform. Ultimately, to I think they even bought PlayFab. They didn't make PlayFab. I think they bought it, didn't they?
I mean,
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, PlayFab. I think they bought it. So, and obviously they bought GitHub and all this sort of stuff because they're trying to build a massive platform of subscribers, basically. That's Microsoft's future. Is like how many subscriptions can we get? Whether it's like a business subscribing to Azure services or consumers subscribing to Discord Nitro and Xbox Game Pass, that's the mentality. Discord is an ideal purchase for Xbox, and as long as they really get out in front and say, yeah, we're not going to ruin it, and outline a plan and keep people on board and stuff like that, because very, very easily people could leave Discord. There's a lot of negative sentiment about Microsoft from the general public still, even now. They're seen as like this big evil company that is just evil, even though they just haven't been that company for so long. But I think there are legitimate questions to be asked, given that they shut down Mixer and they gave up on it, and given that they, you know, haven't really done very good stuff with Skype.
I also think
And
there's a legitimate concern that, let's imagine Microsoft buys them. I would imagine just a bunch of people just leaving to go to a different chat platform.
well, yeah, put it this way.
Just
I
be
mean,
there in,
when
like an
WhatsApp,
exodus, you know?
yeah, when WhatsApp changed its terms of service to say that, yeah, we're going to share your data with the Facebook parent company now. Telegram gained like dozens of millions of users overnight. I think I want to say like it was more than 100 million, but I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head. I don't. Maybe it wasn't that much, but WhatsApp is like this massive chat app. It's like absolutely huge, and overnight, one line of text pissed off millions of users to move to Telegram. Like the amount, like I use WhatsApp and Telegram almost equally now because so many of my friends left WhatsApp to go to Telegram. Because they managed to piss everyone off. And like Microsoft should know from how Skype has slipped out of relevancy. Millions of people still use Skype, but it's mostly like boomers and people who use Skype specifically to do voice calls and then jump off and then exit the application. Like people don't use Skype actively all day the same way they use WhatsApp and Telegram all day, or Discord all day. Like Skype's that kind of app that you open once in a blue moon to do like a meeting and then close and never use it again. I used to have so many like group chats through Skype and stuff like that back in the day until Discord came out. And then it was just like, wow, Discord's so much faster, it's so much better. Like literally no reason to use Skype when it's this slow and hasn't changed. But, these are things that Microsoft are going to have to address and going to have to prove. They're going to have a lot to prove, but there's so much potential for Microsoft and Xbox with Discord. There really is. Like maybe not to make money necessarily, because I don't know if you make money with the Discord directly, but it would add so much value to what Xbox is doing, and also this Discord has like all these like streaming features built in and stuff like that. Maybe they can give the old Mixer another crack. I don't know, but I don't know. I think it's we won't know for sure until the deal's done, but I think it's a pretty good chance that this will actually happen.
Yeah,
So.
Wall Street Journal said the deal might be done as early as next month.
Yeah.
So you seem pretty confident that Microsoft's not going to let this one slip. So,
I mean, they shouldn't let it slip. I mean, Discord. If Discord goes public, I can't even imagine what they're gonna do. It's like, what are you gonna do with that? Are you gonna add like stories? Are you gonna add Discord for business? Like, it's strange to think about. Like, the only way Discord could, the only way Discord could deliver value for investors is by betraying what they've done so well already, which is provide a free service with no ads, with no, selling your data and no like half-baked features, that are not specifically designed to siphon money or whatever. But if they had investors, then they'd have to start thinking about that, and they would dilute their product, and that could actually end up being worse for them. So I don't know.
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hunter Smith says Discord could become a part of PlayFab and be sold to devs as a basis for multi-platform party and voice chat. And he says, of course, Jez says that right when I said, of course, Jez says what I said right as I was hitting send. And Funchido says, I think Discord could be a great launcher for Game Pass on PC and mobile. Yeah, Microsoft does have a problem with the PC store.
That is a great point.
And Discord could be the solution to that. And Slayer Knights also donated $1, but I don't see the message, so thank you for the support. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this, if it really goes through, and if it does, what the plans are for Discord and how they're going to integrate it and all that stuff. So, but kind of related, or at least maybe a little related to it. Maybe not. I don't think it is. Xbox Live is no more, Jez. It's gone. It's now Xbox Network with a lowercase n. So what are your thoughts on this right away? For me, I don't like this change because I think Xbox Live is an iconic brand. I've been saying it like since, 2004 when I played Halo 2, Xbox Live. I understand the reasonings behind it, and you had a couple of really good tweets about it. It just... Xbox Network just sounds sad, Jazz. Like, with a lowercase n, it's not even like... It just...
Dude, this is the thing, though. They haven't rebranded Xbox Live.
No, I understand. I agree with you. It's a debranding.
But it's still gonna be marketed as Xbox Live.
No, it won't.
It will.
No, it won't.
It's still gonna be called Xbox Live Gold. It's not gonna be called Xbox Network.
Xbox Live will only be in reference to the Gold subscription. They won't refer to anything else on the network side as Xbox Live.
Yeah. But, like, why would they? It's kind of... It's what it reflects is the fact that live services are just intrinsic to the box now. It's like you don't need to have a brand for something that's a given. Like, Xbox is a connected device. It's not like you have, like, my smart TV has Samsung TV Live, you know. It's a smart TV. It has network stuff connected to it. You don't need that brand anymore. And I think, like, it just reflects the fact that we expect that of our console now. I think people will still refer to it as Xbox Live. Like, do you want to play on Xbox Live or whatever? But, you know, it kind of also hints at the fact that one day Xbox Live Gold will probably go away.
People are going to keep on saying, oh, you remember when they tried doubling the price of gold and people were like, Jason, you said this and it didn't happen. Haha. And we're like, yeah, well, we never said it was happening soon. So you have this network change. But then also recently, in the insider ring of Alpha Skip Ahead and Alpha, they're testing out the multiplayer removal of for free-to-play games, the multiplayer requirement to be gold, as well as Xbox Live Party Chat being free and looking for group dropping gold as well. Now, Microsoft already announced that free-to-play games multiplayer would be free later on this year, and we thought, probably more around, the Halo Infinite's launch. But they're testing it now. I would assume the testing's going to go very smoothly. I know a lot of people think, hey, it should be as easy as flicking a switch, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. So were you surprised by any of this, Chaz? Like, I'll be honest with you. I was surprised that Party Chat actually is being free. I thought they'd keep that locked behind gold. But I guess it does make a lot more sense. If you're going to have free-to-play free, if you're going to potentially have Discord buyout, then, maybe you need gold. I don't know. Like, it's just one of those things that makes it look better. Okay, so you have multiplayer for free-to-play free. You no longer have to pay for party chat. Looking for group is free. So now the only things locked behind a subscription are the multiplayer games with gold, which are god-awful and they should just get rid of, and deals with gold, which honestly, Xbox Live Gold is just an archaic service at this point. Like, yeah. I agree with you. That needs to just...
They're winding it down. Like... I don't know how anyone could think otherwise from the way they're doing this. Like, they're winding it down. They're winding Xbox Live down to the point where it's just going to be Xbox and then Game Pass. I genuinely believe, like, Xbox Live Gold will go away in the next few years. Don't know when, but I think it'll be when Xbox Game Pass hits a critical mass in new markets and Microsoft, like, they're making so much money on Game Pass that it replaces the cash flow from Xbox Live Gold. They'll just get rid of it. They'll yeet it away because at the end of the day, it's kind of weird that PC gamers and, cloud gamers don't have to pay for Well, I suppose cloud gamers are because they're on a Game Pass Ultimate, but
Mhm.
PC gamers don't have to pay to access the network, which is weird. And I think when you look at like Google Play and stuff, and Minecraft on other platforms, like the majority of people on Xbox Live network they aren't paying for gold. I don't think. You know, it's it's Stodgy Caesar says gold isn't archaic, it's prehistoric. I mean, yeah, it just feels completely counterintuitive to Microsoft's vision of access and multiplayer access. It just feels so weird. But at the same time, you can't just rip. It's like ripping off a band-aid, but like a very, very painful band-aid. Like imagine if you had a band-aid affixed to some very sensitive hair on your body, and you had to rip that off, Rand.
Mhm.
That's kind of what they'd be doing if they just got rid of it without something to replace that cash flow. Because right now, Xbox Live Gold is the business model. You know, it is the business model. So I think one day they'll transition away from Xbox Live completely. Like Xbox Live Gold is just it's such a relic of an old time. And it's just counterintuitive. Like, can you imagine if you had to pay a subscription to play PUBG Mobile on Google Play? It just wouldn't happen. It's just weird to even consider that.
No,
So,
it's weird. Michael says, any ideas how many users have made the transition from Xbox Live Gold to Game Pass since Gold is included with Ultimate?
I think Microsoft released information that like most new customers, they announced that recently on the Xbox Live Wire. Man, I'm getting tired now. Xbox Wire blog post where they were talking about the uptake of Game Pass and hitting the milestones, and they were saying that most new users on Xbox Series S they go straight to Ultimate. You know, um, but at the same time, we don't really have any hard figures or hard data to speculate about that. It's but that is the strategy. The strategy is to move people off gold onto Game Pass and then get rid of gold. That's what I believe. Could take years, maybe not next year, maybe not the year after, but I do believe that will happen eventually.
Yeah, Hunter Smith says,
And
ironically, Xbox Live Gold probably helped introduce Microsoft as a whole to the benefits of subscriptions.
yeah, it's totally true. Xbox Live Gold is, you know, it's been an eye opener for many industries. Really, it's like wow, we can get people to pay for this. You know, and then you got
And they'll
Spotify,
they'll pay
Netflix,
for it
and
forever? Oh my god, what else can we do? And everything became
yeah,
a subscription.
dude, I often think about like how many people out there literally haven't played Xbox for years, but just let their subscription take over. How many people do that? It's not like it's a huge amount of money. Like you wouldn't even
Well,
notice
I
on the
mean,
credit
even in
card.
other businesses, like I use Adobe Premiere Pro for building my videos, and you used to be able to buy a Premiere Pro or the Adobe Suite for like a one-time fee of $100 or whatever it was, and then they just moved it to subscription. And now, if you want Premiere Pro, it's $20 a month forever. Or if you
Mm.
want the whole suite of things like Photoshop and After Effects and Media Encoder, that's like $70 a month forever.
Ugh.
And if because I have a student discount, so I'm paying like $30 for all the apps, and that's $30 a month every single month for an entire year. And I need it for my videos, so it's like it just you look at it as like, yeah, man, everything's a subscription. You used to be able to one time look at like Office 365, right?
Yeah, like you used to buy Office in a boxed copy back in the day,
Yep.
and now you just subscribe. Like I subscribe to Office 365. My entire computer is stored in OneDrive because I change laptop fairly frequently.
So one bad mother,
But
has an interesting question for you. Jess says, where do we see that tipping point? 50 million Game Pass users? Question mark. The tipping point being, okay, we're at a certain milestone. We can make gold free and remove multiplayer. And this is my line of thought. I think It's a significant amount of people, around 40 to 50 million, where they can then say, all right, multiplayer is free, and at the same time, increase the price of Game Pass.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
because I know, like, everybody's concerned about the price of Game Pass. Like, okay, Discord, if you buy Discord and if you add Nitro into the subscription, if you're adding these Ubisoft games at the end of the year along with EA Play, if you're getting these big third-party games with Outriders, and if it's not the last one, which it won't be, people are starting to think, well, how long before Game Pass console and Game Pass PC, which are $10 a piece, suddenly become $15 a piece? And how long before Ultimate, which includes everything, is now $20 instead of $15, right? And I would say, well, that's not going to happen anytime soon because Microsoft is still in user acquisition mode. Last time we got an official update, it was 18 million users. That's not when you that's not when you raise the price. You raise the price, maybe when you hit 35 million, maybe when you hit 40 million, maybe when you hit 50 million. When you have a certain set of users that aren't really going to unsubscribe because they've seen the benefits of what Game Pass can offer, and then you hit them with that $5 price hike, right? But to maybe soften the blow a bit, you say, you know what? We're raising the price of Game Pass Ultimate to $20 a month and Game Pass PC and console to $15, but multiplayer is now free for everybody, right? And they can kind of maybe spin it that way, where they're like, hey, we're doing this for you. Like, multiplayer is completely free, but we do have to charge a little bit more for inflation and many different reasons. And once they hit that target, whether it's 40 million or 50 million, I think they'll probably do both at the same time. I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts and predictions on that. What do you think? You agree with that? You think that's something that viably could happen?
Yeah, I think that could be the tipping point, because I think a lot of those users who are paying for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate too, they're also like high margin customers because they're paying for it via PC. Which is a new market, new revenue stream entirely. So, and also, there's better margins on PC because Microsoft doesn't have to, sell them any hardware or whatever. So there's that whole aspect of it too, where it's all about the new markets and stuff like that. Yeah, 50 million sounds like a good number to me, but it's truly hard to say,
Well, that's the thing. It's like, will it even get to 50 million? Is that too pie in the sky type thinking?
Well, this is why I think Discord could be such an important thing, because if you buy Discord and then you push Game Pass through Discord, which is like primarily PC audience, right? Growing Game Pass on PC is one place where Microsoft sees the potential, but probably isn't seeing the traction right now. There's a couple of reasons for that, probably. A, Steam is so dominant, and often Steam sales are so cheap that it doesn't even make a subscription even, feel like a huge value proposition when Steam sales are often so good. Also, the vast amount of games that are on Steam. The fact that like people buy Sea of Thieves on Steam outright, even though Game Pass is right there, and Forza top the charts on Steam too, even though Game Pass is right there, that says to me that people are so loyal to Steam and prefer the Steam delivery system over Windows that there's still a huge gap that Microsoft has to bridge when it comes to the PC users right now. I don't know if that's like the delivery system. I don't know if that's like improving the app. I don't know if that is, making sure there's some more big AAA third-party PC games hitting there day one. But that is like a market where they can get new users in and ultimately subsidize Xbox hardware and Xbox multiplayer through the subscriptions they get on PC and other new markets. So that's also why I made an article recently arguing for like a cloud only service, because I think it's weird that you have to pay for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to get the cloud. Like if you were someone who only wanted the cloud, why would you want to pay for the PC version of Game Pass as well? Because like if you're someone who maybe can't afford a gaming PC, so you think, okay, I'm just gonna play on my cloud device, my tablet. Why what benefit does a Game Pass for PC bring those people? I don't get it. That's weird to me. Like having a cheaper version of Game Pass that's cloud only for mobile, maybe it only includes the Xbox exclusives or whatever. That makes sense to me as driving another new audience. But that's what it's about. It's about getting new audience in, and there are multiple ways they can do that. But I do think, this whole debranding of Xbox Live is to prepare for that future. They will have probably done projections. They'll probably examined like graphs and charts and all the math, and just decided this is the point where Xbox Live Gold goes away, and that's why it's like debranding right now.
Yeah. Showin says Xbox Live birthed iOS App Store, Steam, PlayStation Network, etc., etc. Michael says, you would think that over time the roughly 100 million Xbox Live members would just jump to Ultimate, instantly increasing that subscriber count. Well, there's not 100 million Xbox Live members. There's like 100 million. What's the number they gave, Jez? It was like Xbox Live is 100 million users, but they're not all paying, and some of them are like counted from like the Switch version of Minecraft and stuff, right? Where they're not even, or even loading up like the Windows 10 app, for Xbox. I think that's counted as a monthly active users.
I don't know how to measure that stuff.
I'm pretty sure that's how they measure that stuff. But I mean, they did say in their last, it was 100 million. So, but I mean, I don't think there's 100 million paying members, because even PlayStation only has about 45 million paying PS Plus members. And they had like 120 million PS4s sold. So, there's a lot of people who just get the systems and don't even really pay for the multiplayer stuff. Sappho says they can't switch to Game Pass because the vast majority of them can't remember passwords or completely forgot they have it. And Dovakin says, I bet the next update on Game Pass Ultimate subs is 25 million. I would imagine, let's say Xbox buys Discord or Microsoft buys Discord and it's a primarily gaming-related transaction, I could see them saying in the press release how many new subs they have on Game Pass. Because they did with Bethesda when they announced that they bought Bethesda. It was like, 15 million when they bought Bethesda in September? And then you got the financial report, and it was like 18 million. So if this is like a big gaming acquisition, then I could easily say, and, combined with, Game Pass at, 22 million subs, Discord makes, this, much better, et cetera, reasons why. So if that does happen, I can see them giving an update on what Game Pass is at if they did buy Discord. So, yeah. What about this ID at Xbox Showcase, Jez? There was the event, which you leaked originally because you were like, I'm positive there's an event on the 26th, which people at Xbox said publicly to you, there's no event. How could you think of such a thing? Which I think those people just didn't know. But they held one yesterday. It was a Twitch showcase. It seemed like it was run by Twitch and not necessarily ID at Xbox. And there's definitely varying opinions on it, right? So initially, I thought it was going to be an hour-long show, and it was just going to showcase. They talked about 100 games. I was like, they'll probably go and show a bunch of stuff, and then there'll be a montage. I can't see it being longer than an hour and a half. But it was like 4 hours long. And you have to wonder, what were they thinking? Why was this 4 hours long? And look, I'm not someone who's sitting here like I know devs never really get it, especially smaller. Like I appreciate Xbox for giving indie developers a showcase to talk about their games when normally they don't. But my immediate feedback for anybody listening to this at ID at Xbox or Xbox in general is like, that show does not need to be 4 hours long. The interviews that were held should have been maybe no longer than 5 minutes if needed. And let's be honest here, the hosts, they should probably know the names of the games when interviewing the developers and talking about the games they saw. They should really know what game they're about to talk about. So there's definitely some issues. Like, I thought the content was good. It looks like there's quite a few really good-looking indie titles that I want to play, like 12 minutes. I'm really excited for. I'm really looking forward to The Ascent when that comes out. The new game by Drinkbox, I think Nobody Saves the World, looks pretty cool. So there's a whole bunch of indie titles that I'm looking forward to, and it's just the way it was presented. It was like, you say like the game content is like maybe an 8 or something, but like the way it was shown off was like, I don't know, a 4. Like you can't expect people to sit there for 3.5 hours to watch this stuff. It should have been 90 minutes at the most. No, I didn't. I did not sit there. I'm just sorry. It's just like, I think Twitch was involved with that. It's like, listen, people want to see the games, and I thought the way they used to do it, where it was a YouTube video where they would show the game being played and have the developer talk over the game bebeing played for a couple minutes, was a way better way to showcase the games than this thing where they show some trailers and then they have a 20-minute interview with the developer. Like, it was just drawn out way, way, way too long. And that's my criticism of it. And I know people were like, oh, they're indie games, it's boring. It's like, literally, like, they told you what it was. It was an ID at Xbox showcase. What type of games did you expect to be there? There was going to be no Halo. There was going to be no Starfield. Like, me and Jez have been setting expectations for the show since it was announced. So if you were disappointed because you didn't see, Gotham Knights at the show or whatever, well, that's on you. It's just, I didn't think the way they did it was the best way to showcase off these games. And you don't even, like, even when what was going on, you don't even know which games are coming to Game Pass. Like, people are watching this, and there's no mention of Game Pass, no mention of which games are launching day one on Game Pass. You have to find that out later in an article by Windows Central, and then an article at the Newswire pointing out the 20 games that were coming day one on Game Pass, or even which titles are exclusive to Xbox, because I think a vast majority of those titles have some exclusivity with Xbox, where they're going to be launching on the platform and most likely PC and Game Pass, and not coming to, the Switch or PlayStation right away. But that really wasn't conveyed well either. So there's a lot of things that they need to. Go ahead.
Why didn't Microsoft just do the event by themselves?
I don't know.
Clearly, Twitch doesn't have a clue what it's doing.
I don't know.
What was Twitch thinking? Like, I thought it was gonna be like an hour and a half long at most. And I was in like a meeting when it was going on, so I couldn't watch it. I was in like this mandatory meeting, and my colleagues were like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we've got this covered." Blah 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 blah. So like, I had my meeting, and then I went offline, and then I come back online, and I see 4 hours later they're still writing, and I'm like, oh. Like they sat and watched the whole thing in case there was like some kind of big announcement. But man, that's 4 hours sounds like grueling.
Yeah, so there are some people saying that they did show which games were coming to Game Pass at the end, but my counterpoint to that would be, yeah, at the end of a 4-hour show in a hype reel, like expecting someone to sit through 4 hours to see what games are coming to Game Pass at the very end is not what I would consider very good. Like, when you show the trailer, that trailer should have Game Pass, somewhere on it where you could see it, and then you see Game Pass, so not having to sit through and watch the very end of the show when there's a, here's the trailer for Game Pass. You know what I mean? That's my point. Like, I know they did it at the end, but I don't think most people were watching till the very end of it. It should have been like, here's the trailer for a game, and then there should be some sort of Game Pass logo, so you understand while watching it just by iconography that okay, this game's in Game Pass. That would be like my counterpoint to you guys. Go ahead, Jess. Sorry, had to mention that.
Oh, it's just I was just saying. I didn't have anything more to add.
You don't have anything more to add?
I just think they should have done their own show, like the Indie Direct or whatever. The Nintendo Indie Direct. I don't know why they felt they had to do it through Twitch. I don't know what the hell. Twitch is just, I don't know. It's weird.
Let me ask you guys a question. When you go to a showcase, whether it's an E3, do you really want to hear from streamers that you really don't know, or like influencers? Like, because I don't want to see those people interview. Like, I would like to hear from developers, but it seemed like the focus was almost too much on like the hosts and them talking over one another or talking over the developers, or them not really being informed enough to know even the names of the game. Like, you know what I mean? I want to see the game, and then I want to hear the dev talk about the game briefly. I don't want to see some Twitch partner, talk about this stuff. Like, maybe I'm old school, like I'm not really into the Twitch stuff, but I don't know. Like, when I tune into to an E3 thing, I want to see trailers. I don't want to see, PewDiePie and Ninja or anybody talking about it. I don't know.
Was it loads of different Twitch partners, or just a few?
There was a couple. There was the two hosts who did most of the show, and then there some other Twitch partners that would interview the developers of it.
I think a lot of these like gaming influencers, like when they try and actually like do something outside of their typical wheelhouse, it just comes off as so cringy oftentimes. I mean that's not like me casting shade, because I'd be cringy too if I had to I'm pretty cringe on my own podcast, let alone like trying to host some other show. I think Nintendo just does it better. Just look at what Nintendo does and then copy it. Just copy what Nintendo does. They do it right. They explain things to the point, and then over the top of some game footage. That's all you need to do. Let the developers speak. Don't need no influencers. Don't need no hosts. Just give me what the devs say and some very to the point narration every now and then with some game footage. All I need. It's all I got time for. Time is money, friend, as a World of Warcraft goblin would say. But and I know, Rand, that like people just wanted the information. And I know that because our article, written by my colleague Zachary Body, here are all the announcements from the IDA Xbox Showcase. That did like really crazy traffic because people didn't sit through the whole thing. They just luckily went and read our article about it, which is great.
If this show was condensed to an hour and a half, I think people would be singing a different tune right now. And so it's funny. Somebody called me a PlayStation fan. I sound like a pony. I don't know how. Like I'm giving some constructive advice here about how to make it better. It's just that to expect people to sit through a 4-hour show is not going to fly in this day and age. Even if it was like a Microsoft show with all their first party titles, 4 hours is even still like I would get bored after a while. And I'm interested in like everything Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda is doing. It's just way too long. Like people don't have time for that. Like Jez says, like it's just like where are the trailers? What games are exclusive? What games are in Game Pass? That's all people really want to know. They want to see the trailer. They want to hear from the developer for a couple minutes explaining their game, and then they want to move on. Like an hour and a half is the max the show should have been. But that's just my take on it, and I think Jez feels the same.
Influencers are like just cringe, man. They're just cringe. Stop that.
Professor KS says, love the show. So Microsoft buying Discord for Xbox or another division of Microsoft? Jez, you would say that this is Microsoft buying it mostly for gaming acquisition, so for Xbox, but then there would be benefits for other avenues within Microsoft, like Azure and stuff like that, right? Teams.
Yeah, like I wrote an article about it, and I was like, Microsoft can replace Microsoft Teams with Discord and stuff like that. But the more I thought about it, and the more like people, Daniel Rubino, gave me some more information about the way Skype and Microsoft Teams are. It made increasingly more sense to me to keep Discord purely gaming, because that's what Discord's strength is. It's that it's a gaming network by gamers for gamers, and it doesn't need to if you made it like Discord for business and replace Microsoft Teams or whatever, you're kind of diluting what makes Discord special. I think Skype can exist as its own thing, Microsoft Teams can exist as its own thing, and Discord can just be what it is now and keep innovating and delivering new features and being great at what it does now. So I retract my editorial from like a week ago. I've changed my opinion already. But yeah, I don't think I think this is mostly a gaming acquisition. And but there will be benefits for like Azure and thing they can package it and stuff like that. But I do think it's going to be gaming. They're going to keep it focused on gaming. And ultimately, I think that's why Discord won't go public, is because if Discord went public, they'd have to diversify and dilute what makes them great and dilute what made them popular. They'd have to do the Discord for business. They'd have to do, Discord for families and try and be less gamerish to appeal to a broader audience, I think that's why Discord want to be bought by a gaming tech company, and why I think like this Microsoft's probably the only one that makes any sense, frankly. But at the end of the day, if the founders want a bigger paycheck and Amazon comes along and offers 20 billion or something, just pull a figure out of the air, they might go with them instead. It's complicated. These things are always complicated, but
Yeah.
Hopefully it just works out and it's great for everyone, fans and whatever, Discord alike.
Michael says, here's the bright side. Even though that show is poorly planned, way too long and cringy, this hopefully means the Xbox E3 conference will focus on the big guns since they don't have to spend time on the indie titles. I'm sure they'll probably still have some high-profile indies at their show. I don't think they'll just drop them completely. Michael says,
I really like the Xbox segment in the Microsoft E3s, like the rapid fire showcase of all the different creative games. Indies are driving innovation in this industry. Like everyone says, "Oh, it's just an indie, just an indie." I really hate that sentiment, man. Like all the massive games that are changing the way AAA devs are approaching gaming have all been indie games. PUBG was an indie game. Among Us was an indie game. Is an indie game. Fall Guys was an indie game. Rocket League was an indie game. All these games were, driving a crazy amount of innovation because they have the balls to take the risks that the AAA studios often just don't. The publishers don't take these kind of risks because they've got shareholders to answer to. But indies don't have shareholders to answer to. They're independent. All they have to answer to is their own creativity and their fans and wanting to deliver something cool. So I really don't like that sentiment about, shoving indies to the side, because indies are driving innovation in this business a way that AAA just frankly ain't.
yeah.
So
Mike also says, definitely didn't like the random Twitch nobodies dominating the show, came off as self-absorbed. And the Ravenflow says, could it be that Microsoft used Twitch because streamers save Sea of Thieves? Nintendo is better at the traditional route. Microsoft needs outlets. I don't think it has anything to do with Twitch saving Sea of Thieves. I don't know. Like, I don't know why they decided to partner with Twitch. Maybe they felt it was appropriate. It just was way too long. Yeah.
I don't think Twitch saved Sea of Thieves.
Well, a lot of people credit
aren't
Twitch saving Sea of Thieves,
Well, it's like they made a game that was very watchable,
It's very true. It's very true.
Just,
They did.
I mean, if it wasn't a good game, it wouldn't be watchable,
Let's see what else we got here. So I want to talk about my experience with the wireless headset. You talked a little bit about it last week, Jez, right? The wireless headset. I finally got mine, and I was a little bit worried about it because I have like a big head, and so like the headset is stretched to the max, and the ear cups barely fit over my ears. So
It is.
it's not
Yeah,
comfortable. It is not comfortable on my head.
it's a small. It's not very generous. Like I don't have a particularly huge head. That's probably average, I guess. But when I put it on, I immediately thought, man, I can feel the headband bending slightly.
Yeah.
You know.
So for me, immediately my first thing was like, oh, okay, the headset is not comfortable to the point where like I felt a lot of pressure on my head and especially around my ears because the cup could barely fit over it. The audio it was fine. Like I used Dolby Atmos. I have the detailed settings, so the audio sounded perfectly fine to me. Obviously not as good as my A50s. So I mean I wasn't expecting that. My A50s are $350. I will say I really like the dials on the ear cups. And when I went back to my A50s, it's definitely seemed unintuitive. Like I really like the how quick you could tune the game versus the chat. How quickly you could lower the volume and like raise the volume on the sides. It makes the A50s and even other headsets just look archaic in that manner. Because with the A50s you press the button on the side and it's like I don't know. It's like, oh, a couple button presses here, but it's just better just to dial it. So I really like that aspect of it. I like how they look. The mic, it's funny because as soon as I joined the party, everybody was like, "You on a different mic? Like, what's going on?" So the mic, maybe not as good as you would want it to be, but I always bought it with the intention of more using it on my PC because I don't have a PC headset than using it on my Xbox and my PlayStation. But for $100 is pretty solid headset. If it was more than that, if it was 200, I'd say it's overpriced. But for $100, it's pretty good. It's just if you have a big head, like if you like, it wasn't comfortable for me to the point where like if I didn't have another set of headphones, I would probably have to go buy some because I couldn't imagine sitting there and playing a game with those headsets on for an extended time just because of how uncomfortable it was. For me, at least. Other people may differ. I don't know. Was it what you said? It was comfortable for you, at least, Jez?
It was comfortable for me. Like I was still like I was concerned about I was just concerned about the head strap banding because I am painfully aware of the fact that the Surface headphones and it's mean to compare them because they're made by different teams, but because it's all Microsoft, I just can't help but think of this. But the Surface headphones have a glaring flaw where the steel reinforcements across the top have a gap in them right at the crown of the headband, and after a while, they just all seem to snap. Now, I couldn't see what the reinforcements were like without ripping the headset apart, and I didn't want to do that. But like, if you feel underneath the cushion, it does feel like there is a continuous steel sort of band that runs all the way across, and there is no gap. So I'm hoping that they won't snap. But I agree with you completely about the dials. This is something that all the headset manufacturers, even on the high end, always fail. These dials, and I don't know why. Like the Lucid Sound headsets have dials on the side, similarly to the Xbox wireless headset, but the action on them is piss poor. Like and the gradation is piss poor. It's like when you turn it, it jumps like 10 audio levels. Whereas like on the Xbox wireless headset, it's you can feel it 1, 2, 3, 4. Like the gradation is so much better. The action feels premium. And when you like trying to dial on like a Turtle Beach headset or whatever, you can't even feel where the midway point is. I felt like there's a little magnet or something inside the dials too. When you dial it and it reaches the midpoint on the chat mix, you can physically feel where the midpoint is. You don't have to listen for it. It's very, very clever, very intuitive design, very ergonomic, and I like that a lot. I just don't like the audio quality, which is a problem with the headset. But for $100, it's competitive. It's competitive with similar headsets like SteelSeries 1 and the Turtle Beach Stealth 600 Gen 2 and the Astro A20s as well. It's more than competitive with those. Like, you just don't expect the world for $100. But a lot of people have been like tweaking the EQ presets and stuff like that to improve the sound and stuff. And there are some options you can tweak in Dolby Atmos if you want to make a more immersive sound profile and stuff. But, you know, it's hard when like you're used to better sounding headphones to sort of downgrade. It's like going from 120 FPS to 60 FPS.
But there's another thing I got to talk about Dolby Atmos in just a second. It's going to be funny. But Mike says, wasn't throwing shade at indie games, Jazz. Some of my favorite games are indie, just pointing out a potential opportunity for them to focus on the bigger titles. Now, it's funny.
Yeah, that's cool. I replied to him in chat, but it's like it's a sentiment that I often hear even from like game journalists. Like, there are some really big outlets that didn't even cover the IDA Xbox event, which it's just sad, really. You know, sometimes it can be hard to justify covering a indie game from a financial standpoint because like people aren't going to click on it and stuff like that because no one's heard of it as much. Like, even with AAA games that nobody's really heard of, like new IPs and stuff, it's hard to get the eyeballs on it. Like, if you're talking about a sequel that everyone knows, like Elder Scrolls or something, or Diablo 4, then everyone's going to click on it. But if it's a game nobody's heard of, then it's harder to get traction on it. But I feel like indies deserve more credit from everyone because, like I say, they are driving that innovation. Yeah. And I think they deserve a place along the big boys on any showcase.
Yeah, Gaming Forte says 1,100 watching versus only 441 likes. People, what are we doing? That's right, we had over 1,200 people here, and we only had like 400 likes. Let's get that like button up. Over 500. Let's get it approaching 600 before the end of the show. It's free. All you gotta do is just click the button, and it actually really does help. I know people say that, but trust me, the likes, the social engagement, that is all a factor into YouTube's whole thing. So if you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you hit the like button. Thank you, Forte, for the super chat, brother. One other thing I will say about the Indie Showcase thing before I want to talk about this Dolby Atmos thing was, and I know it's because of the time we're living in, but the lack of release dates was just disappointing. Like, I was hoping we would see, hey, The Ascent launching, May something, or 12 Minutes coming April. The only real release date we got was for Second Extinction, which comes out next month, and I think a game launched yesterday. But for the most part, everything was like, yeah, it's coming 2021 or 2022, or like even the 12 Minutes guy was like, it's coming very, very soon, and definitely this year. Well, it's like coming very, very soon and definitely this year are two totally different things because there's still 9 months left to go in this year. You know what I mean? So it's like,
do you know what he should do?
What?
He should announce it 12 minutes before it launches.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny. I understand COVID. Nobody wants to stick to release date because they don't know if they can hit it. But man, like, it's just all these games, and it's like we have no clue. Some of them just have dates, and sitting there, like, man, is this game really going to come out this year? I just really want to know when I can play The Ascent and when I can play, some of these other games. And 12 Minutes is the one I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, it was just a little disappointing that we didn't have any release dates. But Jez, did you see the Dolby Atmos? How do I even phrase this? The Dolby Atmos becoming a thing in the console war.
Oh yeah.
Like how?
Oh yeah.
Like, did that not just kind of like what are we doing here? Like, okay, for those of you that don't know, Dolby Atmos charges a one-time license to use, right? So on Xbox, it's like $15, and you get a lifetime license for it. So I bought it on my One X, and I have it on my Series X. I have Dolby Atmos, which is amazing. I like it way better. But some people turned it into this console war thing about how Microsoft is making you pay for Dolby Atmos. There was even this undercurrent of people saying that because the wireless headset that Xbox just put out, because it had that had a trial for Dolby Atmos for 6 months, that the headset would literally stop working after the 6 months was up. Suddenly, even though Dolby Atmos has been on the platform since 2017 and had a license for it for $15, even though most headsets that you buy will come with the license itself and you don't have to pay for it, 4 years later, this became a topic in the console war, and I just don't understand why. Are people just that bored? Are people just that dumb? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. People will use anything for console war stuff. It's just crazy, you know. You don't even need to pay for it. And even if you don't pay for it, there's like a free version. And like you say, a lot of headsets have it. Like the Corsair HS75XB headset has Dolby Atmos baked in, licensed, blah, 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 blah. I think it's just a non-issue. Dude, it's just such a non-issue.
You get you can use regular stereo uncompressed, right? Like the Windows Sonic is free, and then if you don't want to use Windows Sonic, you can pay for Dolby Atmos, or you can pay for DTS or whatever. It's like, how is this suddenly a bad thing? Like, there's free options on the system, and like you said, you buy a headset, you get the license, and most of the headsets for free. It's like, what is going on here? How is this so? But I don't know. I think it's just a thing. Like, there's not a lot of, a lot of things for, and then the whole like Game Pass, like don't subscribe to Game Pass, blah blah blah. It's just, is this what we've really come down to? I guess it's better than Xbox has no games, because that was always a thing. So I guess that's better than, they're running out of excuses. They're running out of complaints. Eventually, right now it's just Xbox, stop buying things, share your games with us, essentially, is what I see. And now Dolby Atmos became a thing. And it's just, I don't know, it's just funny because I wanted to mention it because I can't, number one, I couldn't believe it. And then yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, Jez, I had a good laugh, but PlayStation is offering a $1 for 1 month for PlayStation Now. That seems,
who did that before?
Yeah. I remember people saying, oh my God, $1 for Game Pass. How will developers be able to feed their children? And oh my God, these games are so devalued on Game Pass. So is now, how are developers going to share that $1 for PS Now? How are, like, really, you could sit here and do this all day. Like, I
tweeted the other day, man. I tweeted something like, man, PlayStation, fanboys and whatever, you better keep that same energy if PlayStation starts emulating Xbox Game Pass,
I think
more aggressively.
It's a when, Jez. It's not an if.
Yeah, well, I have to put an if. But,
of course.
Man, I upset a lot of people. I got some really nasty DMs about that. Like, from people who are like, Game Pass and subscriptions are ruining the industry, whatever. Like, man, Sony are literally doing the same thing with PlayStation Now. They're not putting games in their day and date yet, but like you say, maybe they will eventually.
I fully expect them to completely copy Game Pass 1-to-1. I've said that for years. The only difference between PlayStation and Xbox in the future will be their first party and the fact that Sony won't release their games day one on PC. Like, that'll be the only difference. I fully expect at some point Sony's going to put all their games day one into whatever Game Pass competitor they're planning, whether it's a PS Plus upgrade or they're going to try to, combine PS Now into PS Plus or whatever. Like, they'll eventually do that just like Xbox. They'll have the $1 promotion just like Xbox. It's going to happen. And the only difference is going to be Sony will wait to put their games on PC. Otherwise, it's going to be the exact same. Which is great for me because I'll subscribe to PlayStation Plus to get all of Sony's games so I won't have to buy them anymore. It'd be amazing for me. I'll save me money. So I would have really appreciate if Sony did do that. Um,
I will play them on my Android tablet.
mm, Android tablet. Charles Cutter says, absolutely love your content. Absolutely love your content. You, sir, are awesome. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Charles, that for that support and the message. I really appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on, but I think that's where we're gonna end the show. We'll take a couple questions before we get out of here. So if you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if it's your first time here, if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell if you always want to be notified whenever the Xbox 2 podcast or any of my videos go live. So, Jez, what are your plans for the rest of the week, man? What for the weekend?
I've got, finishing my review of Evil Genius 2 tomorrow. Really cool game. Then I don't know. I've got a bunch of articles to write next week, and then the week after, I'm on vacation for a week, and I'm gonna learn game dev. Gonna learn more game dev because I do have a game idea, Rand.
Oh, you do?
I have a plan for a game. Yes, I do. I have a plan for a game I'm gonna make. It's gonna be awesome, simple. This is the first project. While I'm learning how to make games, hopefully in like 5-10 years, I actually have a game that's actually worthy of Xbox. That'd be cool.
That'd be super cool.
And that would be cool. Will you play my game?
I'll play your game, yeah. I'll play your game, totally. Michael says, stupid for Sony not to have a first party day one. They have a great library. They also need to get moving on back and pat. So we have a question from XD. After Sega said that Yakuza games on Xbox were a success and Persona 4 success in Steam, and they said they want to port more games, why SMT3 remaster is on everything but isn't on Xbox? Jez, do you have any? I don't even know what SMT3 is, to be honest with you.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne Remastered was just announced. It comes down to Atlus's feelings about Xbox, really. It's on Xbox to prove that it's worthwhile them doing the port. We ultimately don't know for sure what the whole beef there is, but the obvious thing to bring up always is Xbox's presence in Japan is minuscule to non-existent. Like, if you go to Xbox Japan's YouTube channel, the videos have 100 hits, 200 hits. It's a shame, But this is why Game Pass is so important. The Game Pass is the one thing that could maybe help Xbox grow in regions where it historically hasn't been popular. And if Microsoft has to splash the cash a bit to get some of those deals in place for Game Pass, then so be it. But eventually there'll come a point where there's so many people in Game Pass that hopefully developers are coming to Microsoft to put their games in there, and be part of the library.
Yeah.
So
Michael says, especially with the heritage they have, would be sad if all those legacy titles from prior generations disappeared. I agree with that. Briley Veach says, at what point does Apple get involved with cloud gaming?
This is interesting. Apple does have a cloud platform, but I don't know if it's got the same sort of throughput as what you'd need. It's hard to say because I'm not super familiar with Apple's cloud platform and stuff like that. And Apple's sort of like Google in the sense that they have games on their stores, but they don't understand gaming. Kind of weird in a way to think that iOS and Google Play are actually the biggest gaming platforms on earth. Yet their parent companies seem so utterly oblivious to what actually gaming is and gaming culture. So it's interesting to think about. I've heard for years that Apple was going to make a video game console, like a console to take on Xbox and PlayStation. And Apple was stealing devs from Sony and Microsoft to make their own video game console. That's something I've heard for ages. But it's never materialized. And why is it never materialized? I have no idea. Like, do they just like not throwing enough of their weight behind it and stuff like that? It's weird. There probably just isn't that much of a big push from within Apple from a cultural standpoint to take gaming too seriously, but beyond what they do with iOS. And frankly, they're raking it in with iOS, so they don't even need to really.
Yeah. One Bad Mother says, Jez, is your first game going to be in the fishing or Pokemon genre? Great show, friends.
It's actually going to be a shmup.
A shmup. Interesting.
Yeah. Because it feels like the sort of entry level kind of genre project. Like, to make a sprawling AAA 3D RPG, probably not going to be in my skill set. So I think like a shmup or a simple platformer or something would be a little bit easier to start with. So yeah, I'm gonna make a shmup, but I've got a cool twist on the genre that I got planned, and I'll be tweeting about it what I'm gonna do.
I would imagine that
start
that one game at the ID at Xbox showcase, like Moonlight Bay or whatever it was called, or is like
That looked great.
That'd be a game right up your alley.
There's some really interesting games in that. Did you see the soup simulator?
Yeah. What about the lawnmower
Soup
simulator? Cutting the lawn.
lawnmower simulator. Yeah,
uh,
that's my kind of game.
Thaneros says, "Hey, Jez, where is the new Windows mobile phone?"
It's called the Surface Duo, although it's not really Windows. I don't think we'll get a Windows phone ever again, but who knows? Never say never, right?
Yeah.
Windows 10X is coming out this year. Windows 10X, which is like a lightweight version of Windows 10. Maybe that can work on a phone. I don't know.
Virgil says, I'm surprised you guys didn't talk about the old PlayStation stores being shut down. I mean, we mentioned them as rumors when we were talking about digital versus physical and stuff. Sony hasn't confirmed it. Maybe Sony's planning emulation, so like those games will get merged into the PlayStation Store now, and you can play back and pat on the PS5. We don't know if it's true, but obviously, if Sony has no emulation plans or back and pat plans, and those games are just lost for time, that sucks. But we'll just have to wait and see on that. Georgie says, do you think Microsoft will get Tecmo Koei to support Game Pass?
Koei Tecmo. I often think about Koei Tecmo and whether it would be, something good to buy, but I think their games are pretty niche in the West. Like, even more niche than the JRPGs. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not a huge fan of Koei Tecmo games, but they do want to break Japan, right?
They do.
So it's the kind of thing they need to think of. I think Sega makes a lot more sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
They get for the West, they get Sonic, and then they also get like Persona and Yakuza and a bunch of other stuff. I think that makes a lot more sense to me. But I tell you, Rand, I think whereas we got we were pretty convinced Bethesda games would be exclusive, right? If they bought them.
Well,
I'm trying to think would Microsoft still ship Yakuza, and let's assume they buy Sega. Would they still ship Yakuza on PlayStation because their footprint's so small in Japan?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'd be more like, what happened to Persona? Because we know Atlus's feelings towards Microsoft. That would essentially kill that franchise in Japan, at least, right? Because nobody owns Xboxes.
It's I think Xbox is so far behind. Making those franchises exclusive wouldn't even.
You know what they could do, because I think PlayStation's done this before. Is you release Persona, like say there's a Persona 6. Say hypothetically Xbox by Sega, and there's a new Persona coming. It's Persona 6. And that game releases in Japan on PlayStation and Xbox, but then only releases in the West on Xbox.
Yeah, see, I can see them doing something like that for if they bought Sega. Keeping the games multi-platform in Japan, but then making them Xbox exclusive in the West.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of games that launch in Japan but not in the West, even on Xbox.
So
Sometimes.
I could see them doing that with Yakuza. Like, okay, it's multi-platform in Yakuza, but obviously in Game Pass day one. But then the Western release is just Xbox only. And
Yeah.
PC and Game Pass, and who knows? Maybe Game Pass is on PlayStation by that point. Probably, most likely not, but you never know. Thanero says, "What's with Chemco RPGs? They make a new RPG like every 10 days." Jez, take a shot for me. Cheers.
What is Chemco?
I have no idea, to be honest. Toei Kekmo. I don't really pay. I'm not really a big fan of that publisher, so I don't really pay that much attention to them. To be
No,
honest.
it's not Koei Tecmo.
Chemco.
Chemco's something
Oh,
else.
Chemco. Is that something completely different? I don't know
Yeah,
then.
Chemco. Let me have a quick.
So while you're looking that up, Crow says, "Hey Rand, have you heard about the Xbox Series X version of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 unplayable? The game freezes 30 seconds after launching, then crashes about a minute later every time." I haven't heard that, but it is convoluted about the free upgrade, isn't it? Like, you have had to have owned Tony Hawk Pro Skater like 1 and 2 digitally, but it's not smart delivery, and you have to pay like the $10 upgrade free or something. I'm a little bit confused on how that works. Do you know
It
any
was
more
the
on this?
same. It was the same for the recent Call of Duty. Like, you had to pay to get the $10 upgrade or whatever. This is. It kind of just feels like this is Activision protesting Xbox's system. They don't like it. So what they're doing is they're creating a problem for Xbox by having this convoluted bullshit attached to all of their games. Because they know that people will blame Xbox and not Activision. Because Activision can get away with literally anything. Like, I think Bobby Kotick could
Dude,
you know,
Bobby Kotick and his $200 million bonus. You know, when you think about it, since Activision's charging $70 for all their games, like, the extra revenue they got for those $10 literally just went into his pocket.
Yep. Man, Activision is just such a scum company at the executive level. It makes me cringe so bad. Like, they fire Blizzard employees, and then the same week, what's his face, Kotick gets a massive multi-million-dollar bonus. It's a joke, man. The whole sort of system is rigged. But whatever. That's a complete other discussion.
The Hellboy wants to know if you're a ladies' man, Jez.
Probably not how I describe myself, but
yeah, I wouldn't describe myself that way either. Dova Gindi says, "I know Jez loves Prey, but would you recommend Dishonored?"
I haven't played Dishonored 2. It's my secret shame. Yeah,
I recommend Dishonored. I love Prey, and I love Dishonored even more. Dishonored 1 and 2 are great.
I love Dishonored 1. I loved Prey. I love Prey more. I think I just like Prey's setting is a bit more, my sort of deal. But I love Dishonored 1. I really wanted to play Dishonored 2. I don't know why I didn't. I think I just had something else to play, or I was too busy or something, and then it just slipped off my radar. And GG.
Aquaman says, "Will there be an Elite Series 3 controller for Series X and S?" I think so. I think there's a good chance there'll be a Elite controller with the new share button and whatever new features they'll implement. It won't be right away, clearly, because there's obviously going to be some gaps, but I totally expect there to be another Elite controller. However, are people really going to be interested, because the Elite Series controllers seems to always have some sort of build defect on them?
Yeah. Like, my Elite controller, is going on 2 years now, my Elite Series 2, and it's done pretty well. The only thing that annoyed me was that the grips on the trigger locks fell off. They're stuck on by nothing. They're stuck on by a wing and a prayer and faith, and they just fall off. It's super, super dumb. I don't know why they're not just plastic. Like, why did they cap these little spikes with rubber that isn't held on by anything? That's mind blowing to me. But I don't know. Like, Microsoft tries to do these premium hardware, and there's always these weird defects, and I don't know why. Like, even I stopped buying Surface laptops and tablets because every time I do, there's some kind of issue, you know, and I just got fed up of paying that much money for a Surface device and then have it not be perfect. If you're selling devices that cost thousands of dollars and they aren't perfect, you got a problem, right? But you know, the Elite controller's not thousands of dollars, but it is pretty damn expensive. And I don't know. It ultimately depends on how well they sold, how well they continue to sell, whether they do another one. Personally, I hope they do another one, just because, you know, I think they're cool sort of thing. I want them to do, Rand, an Elite series headset. Personally,
So like,
yeah, with, you know, beefier speakers and better microphone, you know, superior construction and build quality and all that sort of stuff. I want to see like a premium headset from Microsoft. That's what I want to see more than a new Elite controller personally right now.
well, that'd be. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Michael says, "Here's a studio no one's thought about: Apocalypse Games, headed by Dennis Daya, creator of Eternal Darkness and Two Human. An acquisition would guarantee a sequel. Thoughts?"
Oh man, I don't think there'll be a Two Human sequel.
I know somebody. I know
Sick.
somebody who worked for Apocalypse Games, making their their title that they're working on, which I totally forget what it is. That is an entirely huge waste of money, my guy. Like,
Okay.
it is. No, no, no. Whatever game they're working on is never going to come out. No, that is just.
Oh, man.
I
Did you play Eternal Darkness though?
Well, I can't believe we actually got a super chat about them because, like I said, one of my buddies worked for. Oh, that's
really?
funny. That's funny. Yeah, Georgie says instead Sega, why not Mistwalker level 5 games? I don't really know too much about Mistwalker. I think Sega just fits more of the buttons that Xbox needs: PC games, Japan presence, you know,
Sonic.
nostalgic IPs, stuff like that, right? So,
see, Mistwalker hasn't like shipped a huge amount of games, and well, I mean, they've shipped games, but like none of them have really stuck. Kind of like you know, Lost Odyssey. People always think about Lost Odyssey and stuff, but that came out in like the early 2000s, or was it the mid 2000s? I don't know. Came out before 2010 anyway. But you know, I think like Sega is just so much broader in capability and opportunity for Xbox. I don't know.
let's see here. We got a couple more questions. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Yeah, so there are more people talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 being unplayable on the Series X right now, unless you play the game offline, which then freezes, crashes, stop. You guys heard about this? We haven't. Have you? Weren't you looking that up, Jess, or no? I personally haven't heard anything. The Tony Hawk being unplayable on the Series X, the new. I haven't heard anything about it.
I haven't heard anything either. I don't know. I do know that there's some kind of weird issues where if you bought the upgrade and then it had the wrong version installed, some kind of things would be broken and stuff like that.
Yeah, like you had to delete the other older version or something. Faisal says, Jez, thanks for the email reply. And where are the creators of the game Inside, and are they doing any new game? Yeah, so Inside was made by Playdead, and Playdead's next game is being published by Epic. We've seen screenshots of it, but we haven't. We don't know what the game is yet. Yeah, you didn't know that, Jez? That their game is being published by Epic?
I'd forgotten it until you mentioned it just now.
Yeah.
It looks spacey.
Yeah.
Or something.
I heard it's not like a linear game like Inside or Limbo, that it's more open world-ish. So we'll see how that goes, if that's actually true. Game Pass Perry says, do you think
like you drive sorry. It looks like you drive like a rover or something across from judging by this single screenshot, it's like a rover on some sort of alien landscape by the looks of it, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Game Pass Perry says, do you think Game Pass price will rise soon. Games are more expensive to make than movies, and we have Netflix that is more expensive than Game Pass. I don't think it'll. If you're worried about the Game Pass price rising soon, I don't think it'll. No, it won't. I guess it depends on your definition of soon. This year, no. Next year, probably not. 2023, maybe depending on how many subs they have. But I think there's 5% chance they raise their price this year. 5%, which is very low. I think they want to get to 40 million before they start raising the price. They're just because they're in user acquisition mode right now, and it would be counterintuitive to raise the price at this point.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I get an email from my phone provider every year telling me my phone thingy's going up. Every goddamn year.
Every year, yeah. One Bad Mother says, do we see gaming accessories being packaged with Android phones in the near future? Still a bit unintuitive to cloud game. Yeah, so what do you think about that, Jazz? It really is unintuitive to cloud game because you need the phone, you need an accessory for it to turn it into a gaming thing. Do you think they'll package it with Android, or is this maybe one of the reasons why Phil had a Nintendo Switch on his shelf? Because he's working on getting Game Pass and xCloud on Switch, which would be your portable Xbox player.
I think Android cloud gaming is totally unintuitive for the most part. I mean, it's so weird though because PUBG Mobile is absolutely massive and Fortnite Mobile is absolutely massive. And these are games that they're shooting games, FPS games or third-person shooters that you play with your thumbs on the screen, which cover up half the screen so you can't see anything or what you're shooting. And you can't aim properly because it's thumbs on a capacitive display. It blows my mind that anyone can play games like that, But you see these little kids doing it and they're like super pro at it. Like even like Minecraft Pocket Edition, I can't bear to play it because it just feels so bad compared to a controller. So I think like for xCloud, there has to be some kind of ergonomic play because it just doesn't feel good the way that right now we have to carry a controller, clip it on, the controller has to be charged up, blah 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 blah. And even like the Razer Kishi, it's like the Razer Kishi where you dock your phone in, it only fits certain phones. And if you don't have the specific phone, then GG, you can't use it. Like I tried to put a Razer phone into the Razer Kishi, but the Razer Kishi doesn't come with the right inserts for the Razer phone. It only comes for the inserts for Samsung's phones. So I can't use it unless I like make my own inserts. There's so many weird little ergonomic issues with Xbox handheld gaming right now. And for my mind, Rand, for my money, the only thing that can solve it is a dedicated Xbox handheld device. I don't think they can get away from making one eventually, personally. I want to believe that there'll be an Xbox handheld someday.
You love
whether
that.
It's Switch. I love that. I do.
Do you remember when there was rumors that you thought Lockhart or something? What was it? Was actually a handheld or remember that?
Yeah, there was those like. It's because we found a code string in the operating system that appeared to scale the UI differently for the Xbox Series S. So like from that we extrapolated like, why would it need to scale the UI differently unless the Xbox Series S had its own display, So like we made like a leap from like 3 to 500 and just said, well, what if it's a handheld, But alas, it wasn't. But I do think Microsoft has all the tech, all the engineering in-house to make their own bloody gaming tablet thing. Just do it. Microsoft, just do it. Make a gaming handheld. Put Windows 10X on it or something, or you don't even need to put Windows on it. Just put like Windows embedded on it with like just the Game Pass app and the input stack and stuff like that, and just do it, because it sucks gaming on a phone. It really does. Need a proper device for it. Do it.
Just do it. Michael says, "Guess you guys didn't like Too Human." No, I like Too Human a lot. I just, I kind of, I don't want to say any more than that. Monkey Can says, "I currently own a Series S and I'm thinking of buying an X. Should I buy an X or wait till we get a new, stronger Series X, like with the Xbox One X?" Well, I mean, it really depends. Can you actually get an X right now? Because I know stock is very limited. Do you have a 4K TV to take advantage of what the Series X can do? I mean, obviously, yeah, there is that question. Will we see mid-gen upgrades this gen? So in like 3 or 4 years, will there be an Xbox Series X squared that is way more powerful? Yeah, what do you think, Jez? I guess it depends. Like, do you have the money? Do you have a 4K television?
I don't think there'll be a mid-gen upgrade this gen.
You don't think
in
so?
terms of
Even if
power.
Sony does a
No,
mid-gen
I don't
upgrade?
think so. I think Sony's got a little bit more impetus and reason to do a mid-gen upgrade, but I don't think Microsoft will do a mid-gen upgrade this time. I could be wrong, but I don't think they will. Maybe they'll do like a design revision, but I don't think they'll change. I don't think they'll add another performance target for devs when they've got the Series S and the Series X. I don't think they'll do it this gen. I think they've given devs two points to target right now. I think they'll stick with that.
And you don't think they'd want to give them a third?
No, I don't think they'd want to give them a third.
Even
well, technically they have 3 already. Well, 4 if you count like the base one and the base.
yeah, but those are going to be stop support pretty soon. So
yeah. But it's like Rand says, if you've got a 4K TV, I think the Series X, is worth it. You get 120 FPS games and stuff like that.
Yeah, it all really depends on what you have. Georgie says a handheld when they're struggling with first party right now? ? Well, it's not. I mean, they're not related. Like what Xbox does with hardware doesn't affect what Xbox is doing with their studios and their games.
Yeah. Why would you think industrial engineers want to make games? Like it doesn't. That argument always confuses me. Like, oh, why are they going to do this when they should be focusing on games? Like, they can do both. Okay.
Yeah. Plus, like Microsoft has the focus on xCloud and mobile, so it might be in their interest to actually build a dedicated gaming device if they can't get stuff on the Switch or something. So it might be in their best interest to make a handheld when xCloud usage is going to go up and people might be wanting to stream on a dedicated handheld device in 5 years. So who really knows? Let's see. I think people say I need to explain that evil laugh. Like I said, I don't want to say anymore. I can't really. So I wish I could, but I can't. But yeah, we're almost 3 hours on the show, which I did not expect. So we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on Saturday. Hopefully we'll be back on a regular Friday next week and with a lot more to talk about. So obviously, if you guys enjoyed the show, hit the like button, the subscribe button, notification bell. You can follow me and Jez on Twitter. All that information is on screen. Make sure you guys play It Takes Two because it is really, really good. And with that, Jez, we're going to get out of here. Do you have anything you want to say before we leave?
Nah, just, rock and roll, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Friday, hopefully.
Yep. Have a great weekend, guys. Keep it gaming, and we'll see you next Friday.